75 miles north of Boston, New England's NASCAR stadium is New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Lobsters and steam is on the menu. After last week's late race melee, we have some steaming drivers on the track.
Buddy.
88's got to run. Watch the bottom. I mean, he's got to know I'm down there.
And what goes around comes around. That kid's going to get turned.
He did everything he had to do. That was the right thing to do, dude.
How stupid do you have to be? There's no cure for stupid.
I mean, the last thing I want to do is wreck somebody.
He showed the king of restarts how to do it right there. That's how you do it.
He wanted to dump me. I seen him do it to the 30 earlier. I know how to race him now.
Tell you one thing, I ain't scared. I ain't scared at all.
It may look like a racetrack, but based on what you just saw, you can understand how this racetrack just might hold a boxing match before the day is done. And crew members, they ain't scared either. Will there be a knockdown? Well, you're about to be set up. Hello, everyone. I'm Krista Boda. Welcome to New Hampshire, and welcome to what could prove to be the most wicked good truck race we have seen yet. Last week, tirades made national news, from Serena Williams to John Force to Kanye West. Well, here in the Truck Series, we had our own fight. They say what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. We'll find that out next week. But we have found out, based on what happened in practice, what happens in St. Louis definitely follows you to New Hampshire. Ray Dunlap and Adam Alexander have been in the garage covering all the details. So, Adam, let's start with you.
All right, Kristen, as we've already seen, it was Ron Hornaday and Matt Crafton who were involved in the festivities last week at Gateway. But Kevin Harvick, who owns Ron Hornaday's truck, has been scheduled to run this race for quite some time. And he's the one that got it all started here on Friday morning, going out to send a message, if you will, to Matt Crafton. 10 minutes into the first practice session, Harvick not even letting Matt get on track. He would eventually park in front of him, blocking him in on pit road. No doubt the message was delivered.
I mean, I'm pissed right now. Let him get going there. Concentrate on your truck. Don't get Wayne. This brake checked me like 4 times.
Wayne Otten, the series director, talking to both drivers, spending extended time in the window net of Matt Crafton's Chevrolet. No doubt he wants to stop any of the fuel before it fires again at New Hampshire. We'll have to wait and see once the green flag goes in the air if indeed his mission is accomplished. For more on this story, let's send it now to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Adam. You know, there's no question about it. This season has been a banner year for Thor Sport Racing. Matt Crafton right there in the points, and Johnny Sauter in the last 5 weeks, he's really been on a roll. But what do you do when you're not quite sure whether someone's coming after you? You call the police. And right now we've got the police department here because this is the 3rd entry for Thor Sport this week. It's a black and white. Looks like Barney Fife might be driving it, right? Well, no, Michael McDowell will be behind the wheel of this number 98, and they are here to protect and to serve. If there is any problems on the racetrack today for that number 88, you better believe that the 98 will be very close behind, trying to keep the peace.
All right, thanks, Ray. So a police car on the track today, all because of what happened last week. Now, Ray and Adam really just got us caught up on about the last 30 hours of activity. But how in the world did things escalate to that? Well, here's a look back at the first punch thrown at Gateway.
This track is very difficult in 1 and 2, and you have to get through there good to even have an opportunity to run up front this track. Crafton looks like his truck's pretty good. He got a little over anxious going down there in the other corner.
Matt Crafton voicing his displeasure with how Hornaday had raced him on that last green flag run.
You wouldn't think Crafton would push Hornaday out of the way, would he? Get back in this championship? Look at the move by Brian Scott. Right after they cross the start-finish line, he ducks to the inside. Can he take away the lead from Crawford?
Well, that's the best time to do it. You're most vulnerable right on the restart.
Hornaday has lost 15 times after leading more than 100 laps in a race.
I know we're better than everybody else, but you never know on a restart. I'm just waiting for something to go wrong.
It will be the final 8 laps of racing from Gateway International Raceway. Oh, Todd gets turned. Todd slides to the inside and more contact. Rick Crawford is involved. Colin Brown is involved.
Todd did not get a very good start.
Trying to block the 88 of Matt Crafton coming to the inside.
Todd saw him coming. He got there, but he kept pressing the issue.
Matt did not go off.
No, and he never went off, too.
I blocked him, no doubt about it. There's just no cure for stupid. And the kid's been that way his whole career, and he's going to continue.
The last thing I want to do is wreck somebody. I hate that, really do, for him. Tell you one thing, I ain't scared. I ain't scared at all.
Matt Crafton, he's running second. He's second in the way.
Crafton's all over him. He's got to run. A little bit of a run. He moves to the inside. There's the contact.
Contact again. Crafton gets into the back of the 33, and Hornaday spins around. Oh, and big contact behind him.
That really looked a lot different from what the other situation was with Todd and Matt Crafton.
Rod's trying to block him, there's no doubt.
From listening to that 88 truck, I don't think that was intentional.
No, I mean, you could hear him get off the gas. You could take both sides on this.
NASCAR is going to post the 88. This will put him probably 13th. Mike Skinner is going to win at Gateway International Raceway.
If it was, halfway through the race, I would have lifted and did it, but these guys work too hard on these things to just let off and just give somebody a position right there at the end, and I'm not just going to let them have it.
And lost in all of that was the fact that Mike Skinner won his second race in a row. By the way, Skinner on the pole today. For Todd Bodine, the damage meant a little bit of drop in insurance points in the standings. And for the first time in weeks, Crafton is able to make up some ground on Hornaday as he loses 28 points. So the big question, Adam Alexander, what happens today?
And for Ron Hornaday, at least it was a good qualifying run, so a great starting position. But before we go to today's race, how aggressive do you have to be based on the festivities of a week ago, Ron?
Oh, I got two other guys in front of me I got to worry about racing right now, and we qualified third. So, heck, I'm pretty loose. So hopefully Rick's made the right adjustments here, and hopefully we're pretty good at the beginning, and we'll make adjustments on the first run.
Confidence level should be high for Hornaday. He's won the last two races here at New Hampshire. Ray?
Well, let's hear from Matt Crafton. He's at driver intros, ready to go. Matt, an interesting week last week, to say the least. Now, have you had a chance to look back and any different opinions after you've cooled off a little?
No, not really. I hate to see that their trucks got wrecked, and I hate it that Ron got wrecked, and he took a hard hit, and that's the last thing we wanted to see. But it was just one of those last. We talked about it in the trailer a little bit. Last-second decisions you have to make, and I thought I was in there far enough, and with Todd's deal, I thought I was in there far enough as well on that. And I hate it, but we're worried about today. We're putting that behind me, and it was one of those racing deals, I feel, and. I never went right, and that's the biggest thing is what I say. If someone comes right to try to wreck me, that's wrong. But if I come left on them and I wrecked, okay, my bad. But we're worried about today. We're not worried about, next week. We're worried about today. Our Menards Sylvania Chevy is really good. Didn't qualify quite as well as we wanted to, but I think we're going to be all right to race.
All right, go get him. That is Matt Crafton. He's got his focus on today, but sometimes you got to look in the past a little bit, like maybe back to Atlanta.
In mid-pack, it is hot and heavy and getting physical.
We've got a problem here with Hornaday.
Hornaday and Matt Crafton.
Those two are not happy. Hornaday especially.
He gave me a pretty good shove down there, and he don't understand. He pushed me up to the guy in front of him. When I turned left to go down there, he was already down there. Didn't know that, but he wants to do that. That's fine. I don't care.
He just decided to block me going into 3. It's a fast place to go wreck somebody. I wouldn't get a wreck and going into 3, but I guess you might have to do that one of these days.
And Kevin Harvick in the race today as well. And as Ray and Adam explained, Harvick was scheduled to be in this race before all that took place. I believe Adam is standing by with Kevin.
No doubt, Krista, this race has been on Kevin's schedule for a long time. And based on the festivities of a week ago, does that change your approach for today at all, Kevin?
Not unless it's necessary. But, we're here to race. That's why we came. And obviously, I think, Hornaday's running really well, and that's the primary focus, is to do what we have to do for the championship. And if they get out of hand, then we'll have to get out of hand, but we don't have any plans to do anything unnecessary.
Kevin Harvick starting 5th this afternoon. Krista?
Only if it's necessary. I love that. Remember, his presence here is not all about going after other drivers, but that doesn't mean he won't. Makes being a line judge at the U.S. Open sort of look like a cakewalk, huh? We'll serve up some more juicy stuff from New Hampshire right after this.
Up next from New Hampshire, Eric Almirola talks about returning to the Truck Series in an attempt to gain quality seat time.
It's real easy in our sport to be out of sight, out of mind. So every time that you're sitting on the couch watching, rather than in the race car racing, I feel like you're losing a little bit to the guys that are in the race cars week in and week out.
And we'll look back at last year's Slugfest in Loudon. All this when the setup returns, only on Speed.
A big race for Roush Fenway drivers because they have both bosses watching when they come to town. Well, Colin Brown took in a little bit of Fenway when he threw out the first pitch at Thursday's Red Sox game. And Sox fans know they have won 8 of their last 9 games. They now have a 7-game lead in the American League wild card race. Nice arm, Colin. And speaking of wild, Colin was throwing a baseball. If you're just joining us, some of these drivers could be throwing punches by day's end. Welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We've told you and showed you the drama that unfolded at the end of the race last week. So you would think with points leaders involved in wrecks, they would want to take it a little bit easy today, right? Well, this track has a history of bringing out, well, let's just say some aggression in some of our drivers. Let's go ahead and take a look back. We open up the vault to last year.
Welcome to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The date, September 13th, 2008. With less than 100 points separating Johnny Benson and Ron Hornaday, there was a close championship fight brewing. But the real fight didn't happen until after the race. Trucks were spinning out all day, but a few of them had help.
That's the 3rd truck that David Starr has been on the inside of and made contact with that left rear.
For the 3rd time, you have to start saying, dude, give me a break.
David Starr wasn't making any friends this race. In fact, he made quite a few enemies, mainly the entire Germain Racing team.
One of the guys from Germain Racing had pulled David Starr from his truck.
You know, my crew was pretty upset, obviously. He didn't take one of their trucks out, he took them both out. He took my teammate out exactly the same way.
But have a crew member come put my window net down and put his finger in my face, I don't play that game.
When the smoke cleared, Ron Hornaday came away with a win. Even though Johnny Benson finished 2nd, Hornaday was still able to chip 23 points off his lead and set up a fight to the finish for the championship trophy. Until next time, this has been The Vault.
Well, let's hear from Mike Skinner, who is on the pole for about the 11,000th time in this series. 48, actually, which is a pretty good number. But, Mike, qualifying so important here because of track position. You got a truck good enough to win?
Well, I don't know. I didn't think so yesterday. I think we're a top 5 or 6 truck. But we just got to watch. There's a lot of things going on right now, Ray. So, if we can lead a lap, that would be nice. And then we're going to find a place to ride and let these things unfold. That seemed to work out pretty good for us last week.
You got a crystal ball on what's going to happen?
No, I got a PC Miler Navigator, and that's what it's telling me to do.
All right, telling him to get out of the way because there might be trouble coming down the pike. Krista?
Yeah, Ray, we mentioned earlier that Colin Brown has a New England area boss. Well, Mike Skinner's truck is owned by New England Patriots wide receiver Randy Moss. So Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip upstairs. I know Randy Moss sees a lot of hard hits. I want to know what you guys think about the hits we saw. Crafton, Hornaday, now Harvick involved, all the hits from last week.
Almost has the feel of maybe a hockey game about ready to start. You're just wondering if a fight is going to break out. Now, Phil, obviously we've worked together a long time. You have told me stories about an accident or somebody who's wrecked you from 20 years ago that are very clear in your mind. Will that carry on, say, a week and onto this racetrack?
Well, I think it will. I mean, you're always going to remember that. Now, will Ron Hornaday or Kevin Harvick go out there and crash Matt Crafton? Probably not. But they will not give them any breaks whatsoever. Right. I mean, if there's a questionable situation that Matt Crafton may get in, and throw Todd Bodine in that as well on the Hornaday Harvick side of it. If there's a questionable situation there, they will not give him a break at all. And if they can terrorize him a little bit, they're probably going to do that. Michael, now you've been doing this just as long as I have. How do you approach something like that?
Well, I love where I'm at if I'm these guys. Did you see what we went through here a year ago? Everybody was spinning out and running over each other. You can just say, I just got in a little hot. We got together. Kevin Harvick has already started all the games. Yeah. He started it when practice started, messing with Matt Crafton. And did you hear his interview a minute ago? I'm just going to make sure everybody acts right. And if they don't, I'm here to take care of problems that might exist. So it's teed up to be a great afternoon. The Hornaday point lead has shrunk. It's under 200 points now, so we've got a battle going toward the end of the season.
Christy, you might want to stick around because we may need a referee down there on pit road.
I'm ready. Boxing gloves out. I'm ready to go. You know, we talked about all the major players, but don't forget there are about 32 other guys who want a shot at the hardware here in the Granite State. More from Loudon, New Hampshire when the setup on Speed returns.
They call me the Cuban Missile. I qualified on the poles somewhere. I don't remember where. They tagged me with the nickname Cuban Missile, and it's kind of stuck.
Why don't we talk a little bit about Eric Almirola going for his 7th consecutive top 10 finish. He is a driver who has been getting it done of late.
The Truck Series has groomed its share of NASCAR stars. Could Eric Almirola be next? Welcome back to the setup live from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. In his last 7 races in the series, Eric Almirola has finished in the top 10 all 7 times. Perhaps best known as the driver who won a race but didn't get to finish it. Well, finishing is something he is certainly not having a problem with in his return to the Truck Series.
What a great run for Eric Almirola.
I really like how the 2-tire strategy has worked for Eric Almirola.
When you look at the 3 short track races in the summer months, his average finish, 4.3.
I feel like from the time I left truck racing in 2006 to coming back now, I feel like I had more experience. You always say in racing, I wish I knew then what I knew now.
3 years ago, Almirola's truck experiment paid off for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Good run for Eric Almirola tonight in that Spears Chevrolet. What a great run he had off the front.
Nicknamed the Cuban Missile, Almirola rocketed to the Nationwide Series, sharing a seat with Cup driver Denny Hamlin.
It's official, Eric Almirola is starting this race in the number 20 car.
Eric Almirola was ready for that green flag. Gone, out in front.
At Milwaukee, Almirola made a name for himself, not for leading the race, but for giving up his seat without saying a word.
Just a second ago, under this caution, Denny Hamlin's car brought down pit road by Eric Almirola, giving up 3rd place to make the driver change.
I got to tell you, I think that's a bad decision. They're doing this for the sponsor, I hear. But you know what? This kid, Eric Almirola's been running great. I don't like this. This whole thing is real tough.
Almirola received the win, but not the glory. However, he was given a ticket to the big show, a golden opportunity to share the same seat with Mark Martin at DEI.
I've learned so much racing over at DEI and sharing a car with Mark Martin. You know, that's just been a huge help for me. I feel like I've had a lot of good people around me to learn from and that have, you know, been really open notebook with me.
It's nothing terrible, but it's a little bit stuck. 210, 220 on the oil and water. Well, appreciate it. Doing good.
We're used to seeing this U.S. Army Chevrolet run up front, but that's not Mark Martin. That is Eric Almirola. His first race of the year. He's only tested so far this year. I said, hey, what has it been like spending the last 4 months on the sidelines? He said, painful.
The seat time is one thing, but the non-seat time is especially the thing you got to look at.
The grand orchestra that is NASCAR reinvented itself this off-season. For Almirola, that meant the music could last 7 races. And when the beat finally dropped, so did Almirola.
As much as I love racing, sometimes racing doesn't love me as much. And it was a sign of the times, and I don't regret it. You know, I think it was something that's made me a better person, for sure, to just continue to deal with adversity time and time again. For me to have gotten out of the 8 car and then to have not run anything else the rest of the year would have probably more than likely been the end of my career, I feel like, because it's real easy in our sport to be out of sight, out of mind. I got to thank Billy Ballou a lot for getting me back over in the Truck Series and racing again. And I really feel like I got to thank the Lord, because He's blessed me with the opportunity to be able to keep racing, because it's not easy right now, for sure.
Well, I tell you, though, Eric Almirola is certainly making it look easy. He, like we said, in his 7 races, the last 7 in the Truck Series, all top 10s. There you see his last 3 finishes. Very good indeed. You know, throughout all this drama, we've been talking about the ThorSport versus KHI saga. We have forgot to mention, or I guess it kind of takes second fiddle, if you will, we have a triple threat going on. Kyle Busch is in the field. He is going for his 3rd win in his 3 starts. Mike Skinner is going for 3 in a row. He's on the pole. And Hornaday is going for his 3rd win in a row at this track. Pretty impressive indeed. Something else that's impressive about this track is a unique feature on the backstretch. The fans bring their motorhomes, they park, get their spots, and then rope off their section so they have the best seat in the house. Of course, second best to you. Watching at home, we have your spot marked off. More next.
Hornaday is climbing out. He's not happy.
If he's going to wreck me every week, I guess we're going to have to do it back to him.
Matt's mad now. When he sees the replay, he's really going to be mad. He just didn't have control of his truck.
There are 4 or 5 guys from Germain Racing going after David Starr.
Tough trucks, tough drivers, and a tough series. That's all I got to say about it.
We've got a problem here with Hornaday.
Hornaday and Matt Crafton.
Those two are not happy. Hornaday especially.
There was something going on down there because there are a lot of people shoving each other around. I know that.
I ain't scared. Ain't scared at all.
Man, what goes around comes around. That kid's going to get turned.
Crafton gets into the back of the 33, and Hornaday spins around.
It's green, white check, and I'm not just going to let him have it.
Welcome to New Hampshire. It's New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and welcome to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Heluva Good 200 on speed. 19th race of the season. That means just 7 races remain this season to find out who our champion will be. Our big title contenders right now have been Ron. It was almost like a magnifying glass was put on those two a week ago in St. Louis. I want to bring in Adam Alexander and Ray Dunlap on pit road with all those stories. Adam Alexander, talk to us a little bit about the KHI teams.
Well, first off, let's talk about exactly what happened last week. Ron Hornaday, Matt Crafton at the front of the field. The two get together, 1-2 in the race, 1-2 in points. You kind of figure out where this is going. No one forgot about the incident a week ago. Advanced to New Hampshire. Kevin Harvick, who owns Ron Hornaday's truck, has been scheduled to run this race for quite some time. He showed his displeasure during practice yesterday. No contact, but he certainly played some mind games during that opening session with Matt Crafton. Wayne Otten, the series director, talked to both drivers. Hopefully cooler heads will prevail here today. For more on this story, let's send it now to Ray Dunlap.
Well, Adam, you know, when you look at 2009, I think it would be fair to say that this is the best year ever for ThorSport Racing. Matt Crafton has been right there in the points, and Johnny Sauter has been in a tear in that number 13 truck. Both of those guys possibly top 5 points positions. But today they've got a helper in this race. They brought in a 3rd truck for ThorSport. The black and white is here. The police are ready in case there's trouble from last week's rollover. They have Michael McDowell, this number 98. Yeah, it looks like a cop car, and he is here to protect and to serve.
Well, we'll see what kind of fireworks take place on the racetrack. Let's get our pre-race festivities underway. We go trackside for our invocation.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Salem, New Hampshire High School Junior ROTC presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Reverend Dean Stiles, pastor of the Jefferson Christian Church of Jefferson, New Hampshire, and the First Baptist Church of Berlin, New Hampshire, offers today's invocation.
Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful fall day in New Hampshire. As we gather for this weekend of racing, we ask for your protection upon the drivers, their crews, and on all gathered here today. We also remember the men and women who are serving our great nation and pray for their safety as they protect us here at home. We thank you for your Son, Jesus, who gave his life that we may have life through him. This we pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Corinne Powers as she performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Drivers are climbing in. Almost has the feeling of, well, a boxing match. And that would mean I would be the ring announcer saying, welcome to the main event. Let's head back trackside and get reset up for Chris Devoto.
Well, Rick, we are in Mike Skinner's pit because he is on the pole, but we need to get you caught up on some other news. Schedule changes. The 2010 schedules are out. The only change for any series as far as a new venue, Pocono, for the Truck Series. This is the Glatter family. David Glatter is a huge NASCAR fan. Pocono is his home track, so he will be there for the trucks next year. Some other news. We're in New England. Lots of truck connections. Colin Brown, Roush Fenway driver, he threw out the first pitch at the Red Sox game Thursday night. A lot of Red Sox fans here in the stands. Also a lot of fans of Truck Series racing in general because they beat and bang. And boy, did we see that last week. The saga continues. Thor Sport Racing versus Kevin Harvick Incorporated. Crafton made some contact with Hornaday. Hornaday now has Harvick, his team owner, in the field. Harvick already messing with Crafton a little bit in practice. Will we see any drama on the track tonight? And how did Thor Sport retaliate? They brought a third truck, a police car paint-themed truck out here. So we have a police car, police truck on the track, and we've got a lot of possible tempers ready to erupt. We don't have to sell this series. These guys do it for us. This is a race not to miss. Why? We have no idea what's about to happen.
Well, the one thing is, Krista, we ain't scared. And, well, that's what Matt Crafton had said last week on the radio when he talked to you, Phil. We've seen a lot of things happening. Is it going to carry over here?
Well, it may, but we have to run a race today, too. You know, we've got 200 miles on a 200 laps on a very challenging racetrack here. Wide racetrack, you can run the bottom. It's not banked as much, so it could lend for some great side-by-side racing, but contact.
But if you go down in enter the corner on the bottom, you're going to go up. And if there's somebody up there, you're going to lean on them. And that's when tempers start to flare, especially when there's history. And we got a lot of history after last week, so it'll be fun to watch.
It is definitely going to be fun to watch, so stay in your seat. We're about to get this race underway. We've got to fire the engines. Let's go down for the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome today's Grand Marshal and Director of Sales for Big Y Supermarkets, Eric Swenson, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines.
The engines are fired up. Does that mean the nerves, well, calm down? I don't believe so. I think it's just going to crescendo at the green flag. Coming up next. Welcome back. Hell of a good 200 about to take place from New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire. The trucks have rolled off of pit road, now onto the racetrack. They'll take a few laps while we talk about the particulars of this race. Temperature 62 degrees and sunny. A little breeze, 13 miles per hour. The humidity low. What a great day for racing. Take a look at our starting grid. It's going to roll across the bottom of the screen. Again, Mike Skinner with his 49th pole, and he has chosen to take the outside for his starting position. And that means Kyle Busch will be on the inside at the start of this race. Now we take a look at our Z-Max track description of this just over a mile racetrack.
We can see right here that banking in the corners from 2 degrees to 7 degrees. That's why Mike Skinner took the outside. It's actually banked a little bit more on the outside. He feels as though he's got a better shot holding that lead through 1 and 2 from the outside. You see the straightaways 1,500 feet each.
Yeah, the track drives a whole lot alike, Phil. Both ends about the same. You want to be in the middle of the track. Down low, you can get inside of a guy, but it's really difficult to complete the pass because there isn't any banking down there. You can also roll around the outside of a guy if you got some momentum. So when you get to the corners, these drivers do have some options.
Here's a row of purple race analysis. 36 trucks are here. They'll all start 200 laps, just over 211 miles.
You see the pit window about 80 to 90 laps. That could be critical. We've had green flag pit stops here the last 2 years.
Let's take a look at our speed spotlight. We shine a spotlight on a few different drivers. This time we're going to talk about some, well, particular players in the field today, and we'll start with Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, I want to shine my light on Kevin Harvick. What a beautiful truck he has today. Duplicolor on the side of that number 2. And this is another brand new chassis they've turned out this year. In the last 8 times that KHI has debuted a truck, they've won 5 of those races. And Harvick certainly could be a threat today. But I want to give you some numbers real quick. Right down a 29.80. That's the kind of lap times Kevin Harvick was running yesterday, while the rest of the field was running 30.15s. That 3500ths of a second could be a big difference today, and I think Kevin Harvick could easily win today here in New Hampshire. Adam?
Another driver who will be in contention, the 88 Matt Crafton, rolling from the 8th position. He wants to get this race behind him because of all the activities over the last week following the event at Gateway International Raceway. Bonus points a big deal. He trails Hornaday in that category. If he's going to win the championship, he's got to pick it up today. Phil?
Adam, there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Michael McDowell, driving the 3rd Thor Sport truck. Michael started his career in the road racing, but then he moved to the ARCA Remax Series in 2007, 2nd points Rookie of the Year, ran most of the Cup races last year, top 10 right now in Nationwide Series points, looking for a good run here for his 2nd ever Camping World Truck Series start. Mikey.
Let's talk some staggering numbers, guys. We left Texas 10 races ago. Ron was coming off of a 19th place finish and 2nd in points, 30 down to Crafton. You know, we talked plenty about what happened last week, but what about the 9 races that led up to St. Louis? Ron finished no worse than 11th, and he had 5 wins in a row.
Field coming out of turn number 4. All the answers about to be presented to us. Green flag in the air. Mike Skinner on the outside. Kyle Busch on the inside.
Oh, look at Kyle Busch sideways into Skinner.
Down the backstretch. Skinner with the nose in front of that 51, still making contact as they go down the backstretch.
Continuing to make contact.
Look at Skinner drive deep down into that 3rd turn. Grabs the advantage away from Kyle Busch and is going to lead. Made that plan work perfectly. It was a little bit exciting getting there, but he made it work.
Mike Skinner will lead the 1st lap. That's 5 bonus points. Kyle Busch runs 2nd. Austin Dillon in that number 3 is 3rd. And then Ron Hornaday, our point leader, in 4th.
Look at Kevin Harvick down all the way below the yellow line in the corner.
Here comes Matt Crafton. He'll be inching around that 2 on the outside. We'll see if that is a little bit hairy situation. They're side by side on the backstretch.
You can see Austin Dillon. He gave the corner away to Hornaday. He doesn't want to be a part of this championship story, does he? He said, you get on down in there, Ron.
If Crafton is able to make that pass, he's got his teammate just behind him, Johnny Sauter, in the 13. And again, out front of this field, Mike Skinner, Kyle Busch, Hornaday, Austin Dillon, Brian Scott. They're your top 5. Hornaday so strong in practice yesterday. His qualifying effort today, 5th. We expect him to run up front all day long.
Yeah, he's real strong right now, too, Rick. He's driven up on the back of Kyle Busch already. You can see Brian Scott working well down on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to clear Austin Dillon. Austin's racing Brian Scott a little bit harder than he did Hornaday, as Hornaday goes underneath Kyle Busch. That truck's fast.
Sure is. Going to be tough as you might see him. It gets a little bit sideways there. Hard to get the power down off that flatter part of the racetrack. Let's take a look back at that very 1st lap here. These are the guys coming off turn number 2. There's some contact right there with Busch and Skinner, and they're not done yet.
There's a little more.
Well, I think Kyle was saying, dude, there's more room over to the right. Move over a little bit. You can see when they come off the turn, Skinner holds the truck of Kyle Busch down well low on the track. And I think Kyle's just saying, man, you better give me some room. I'm coming over.
And these first couple laps on these tires here, these things are really slippery anyway. So
that was lap 1. moments ago. Here's Hornaday and Bush.
Watch this now. Watch Hornaday. You're going to try to get the power down. He gets back in the throttle and then gets sideways. Has to check up a little bit.
Slow on the racetrack, the 30 of Todd Bodine. It looks as though he's going to be making his way onto pit road.
Man, there's a lot going on early in the race. Guys sideways, bumping into each other. Now Todd Bodine to pit road.
What a horrible break here. Good to see Lumber Liquidators back on this truck. Championship combination from a couple years ago.
Todd Bodine brings that 30 onto pit road. That's got to be disappointing. They thought they had figured something out yesterday in practice. Ray, what's happening?
Well, Todd just came on the radio and said the motor will not run, no fuel pressure on this number 30. That is a horrible break for these guys who really felt like they wanted to put on a great show for Lumber Liquidators today. They've got a promotion going on where you can go to llfloors.com and get some great deals, and they wanted to promote that throughout the course of the day today, but no fuel pressure and no power under the hood for the 30 truck.
I believe fans can even, and even if you don't need wood flooring, you can tell your friends, because I think they're giving you $100 discount off of the purchase of some of the wood floors.
Johnny Sauter able to make it by his teammate for the 4th position.
Boy, that truck's strong this weekend.
That truck has been strong, that Johnny Sauter truck. 3 top 5s in a row coming into here.
Mike Skinner out front. Kyle Busch runs second. Hornaday third. Sauter is 4th and Crafton 5th.
Kyle Busch had kind of gotten off to a bit of a slow start. Fell way behind Skinner, back into the grasp of Ron Hornaday, but he's able to drive away from Hornaday now and is caught up to Skinner.
Ran about 0.3 of a second faster that lap than Skinner did.
Down the front stretch they go. Mike Skinner just in front of Kyle Busch. Right behind him, the Copart 33 of Ron Hornaday. That means he's running in the Copart Champions Challenge.
A little bit of a wiggle down there, too. Do you see that little bit of a wiggle down there in 1 and 2?
Side by side once again, Kevin Harvick, Matt Crafton. Harvick looks like he's coming back on the racetrack, Adam.
And the word early for Kevin Harvick, way too loose. He started 5th, dropped back to 7th, but welcome back to the top 5, to the deuce, as Matt Crafton edges on him a bit. Slight bit of contact. Harvick, though, gets around and will pull away, grabbing that position. Well, maybe not.
Well, that was big there, guys. Harvick moved up like Crafton wasn't even there. Look at the damage that it's done to that 88's left front fender.
A lot of damage to the left front.
That's significant. You're running 150 some miles an hour, I would guess, Phil, as you dive down into these corners. You need all the aerodynamic downforce you can get on these trucks in these really flat, tight corners with all that speed. So that could be a factor. They need to get that pulled off when they come to pit road.
And they were relying, those fenders flared out as we see a battle for the lead. They're going to split the 0-2 of Andy Ponstein.
Same deal. Kyle's still 1 back from him.
Mike Skinner just in front of Kyle Busch. Heard the spotter letting Mike Skinner know.
You're all clear.
Adam Alexander, are you hearing anything more on that 88 team?
They came from the spotter stand and said, make sure you check that left front fender. As he said that, they crossed the start-finish line, but Haefele, the crew chief, had a good eye on it for Matt. He said there is some damage, but no tire rub. Crafton came back on the radio, said, that was on purpose. We're all good. No problem. So no issues at this stage, but certainly something to watch as this long run continues.
You see a little bit of the damage to the left front. That was courtesy of the 2 of Kevin Harvick.
You can see that fender's wrinkled up. And look, Phil, as he comes down the front straightaway, that left side is narrower than that right. So that means that truck has less frontal area to hit the air with, and that means less downforce.
And that's how they tune that truck, was with those front fenders with a tape on the grill. That's what they count on for that front downforce.
Half a second, the difference between Mike Skinner and Kyle Busch. It's been all Mike Skinner since the drop of the green flag, but Kyle Busch doesn't look like he's going to be very patient. He wants to take over the front spot. Todd Bodine, problems early. He's behind the wall. NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot. Live tomorrow, 11 Eastern. NASCAR on speed. We've got a new leader. Kyle Busch has been able to get by Ron Hornaday and Mike Skinner. Skinner's dropped back to 5th or 3rd. Now we have 3 streaks that are on the line right now, and our top 3 are all involved in those streaks. Kyle Busch looking to make it 3 wins in a row in his Truck Series starts.
And Skinner going for a 3rd victory as well in a row. But check this out. Kyle Busch gets down on the inside. Watch him drive down in this 3rd turn, Phil. Just gets in deeper than Mike's able to hold it down and complete the pass. And then Mike's got more problems. Here comes Hornaday.
Here's Kyle Busch from his onboard.
Wow, that's a good picture, isn't it?
Sure is.
I like that.
Kyle Busch able to make this pass on the very difficult bottom of the racetrack.
You can see that's the key to that pass right there. When they went to exit turn 2, he got the gas down and didn't get loose. He was able to make ground on Skinner exiting the corner, and then after that, it was pretty much just drive down into 3 and complete it.
There's a battle for third. Kevin Harvick going by the 5 of Mike Skinner, or at least trying to.
Well, that 2 truck looks pretty good right now.
Yeah, we heard Kevin talking after qualifying. He had to get used to his truck. He said these things are a little confusing after driving the Cup car. Didn't qualify as good as he wanted, but everybody said yesterday in practice he was the man.
As good as Kevin Harvick is, he's still 2.9 seconds behind Kyle Busch, Ray.
And Rick, I just wanted to add another thing to, you were talking about numbers and 3s. How about 3 wins at the same track? That's what Kyle Busch should be going for. He won in the Cup Series here in 2006 and of course won in the Nationwide Series here this year. So Kyle Busch could be adding 1 more track to his list where he's won in all 3 of NASCAR's major divisions. Let's check in with Adam. I think he's caught up with a very frustrated Todd Bodine.
I was just going to say, Ray, if there is one word that describes Todd Bodine of late, it is frustrated. What's the issue this afternoon, Todd?
It's something that I don't ever remember happening to a Tundra. Fuel pump quit. Just no fuel pressure, stopped running. Very, very unusual. But that's the story of our season to this point. If it wasn't for bad luck, we wouldn't have any. And I'm disappointed for Lumber Liquidators. You know, coming back on board. This is Tom Sullivan's home area, brought up in New England, and we wanted to give him a good run. We thought we could have our old magic back, get that yellow truck back, but you know, we were running great. Just a few laps, we were up to 9th already. Truck was really good. Turned the center corner, good forward bite. I mean, it was handling good, so we had a good truck. That's the upside. The downside is it's sitting here, but LLFloors.com, go check it out.
Todd Bodine always a player at the 1.5 miles, so he should be good again next week in Vegas, guys.
Always good at the 1.5 mile tracks, as you mentioned, Adam. A guy who's good at virtually every racetrack. Out in front again, we see Tim Bainey Jr. Looks like he's slowing off and coming off of the racetrack. Already off the track, Norton Benning, Brandon Nutt, Todd Bodine obviously off the racetrack and out. Andy Ponstein, Nick Tucker, Chris Lawson.
Talked to Tim Bainey Jr. a little bit earlier today. He said he had a really good truck and was happy about the way he qualified top 20 and was looking forward to a good race. And he'll need a Aaron's lucky dog or 2 if he's going to get back in this thing, because he's on the pit road awful early.
Ray mentioned the 51 of Kyle Busch, looking for another racetrack to where he has won at all 3 of NASCAR's top series. It would be the 6th different racetrack that he has accomplished that feat. We'll be back. Race fans, vote for your favorite Copart driver. The Copart Challenge of Champions. Choose between the 33 of Hornaday and the 30 of Todd Bodine. Win a variety of prizes, including an all-expenses-paid VIP race experience in Talladega this October. Go to Copart.com for official rules and to register. Vote now for the Copart Challenge of Champions.
Remember now, if you voted for Todd, it's not going to hurt you here, because this is not one of the races that Copart is the sponsor. You can see the points right here, but Todd has run more races than Ron Hornaday. That's why he has that many more points. But again, if you voted for this 30 truck, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Didn't hurt you.
Didn't hurt a bit.
Didn't hurt you a bit.
It's hurting Todd.
It's hurting Todd a lot. And Lumber Liquidators.
Yeah, they're wanting you to go to LLFloors.com and you can get money off.
Get a discount.
Yeah,
discount if you buy some flooring.
I like it when sponsors use this racing to sell their products.
15th between Eric Almirola in the 15 and that 25 of Terry Cook. Terry Cook's been to victory lane at this racetrack before.
Sure hasn't. And Eric Almirola, 15 truck, has been on fire. Top 10s last 7 times out.
Look how low he's running on the track. Really way down on the bottom right next to the apron. Had a terrible qualifying run. Didn't run well at all. And, you know, we've seen this truck be on such a roll. It's a little bit surprising. He's trying to battle his way up toward that top 10. Currently battling Terry Cook, like you said, for the 15th spot. I like the line Almirola's running. You get down there and get your truck working, you make some progress.
Absolutely, because nobody else is going to be down there. And remember, he is running the cup race in the Miccosukee car for James Fitch, so he had a little bit of track time today in addition to the Camping World Truck Series qualifying.
Eric Almirola very thankful to Billy Ballou for giving him an opportunity, and Graceway Pharmaceuticals jumping on board as the sponsor of that race truck.
You know, he came on the scene last year in that DEI car and just turned the world upside down with his run at Bristol. Everybody said, wow, what about this kid? And I love his attitude. He's like, just give me in something. Let me drive. Let me race. And I'm going to try to survive, claw in, keep going until something comes along full time. And that's what he's doing. And he's making the most of this opportunity.
Mike Skinner started on the pole. It was his 49th career pole, but now he's fallen all the way back to 5th, Ray. What's going on?
Well, Rick, I talked to him in the setup show, and he said he didn't know if they had a truck good enough to run at the front. Figured he was probably a 5th or 6th place truck from what he had learned in practice. But he told Eric Phillips on the radio that the truck is bouncing getting into the corners and that he's tight through the center and tight coming off. So I anticipate them raising the track bar on that number 5 truck to try to loosen him up to roll through the corner a little bit, but bouncing on his entry in. How's the 16 doing, Adam?
And we'll talk about driver number 16 in a moment, that being Brian Scott. But we talk now about the man who's running in the 3rd position, Kevin Harvick. He started 5th, dropped to 7th, complained about a loose truck. He says it is still loose. I need more rear grip, is what he just told Ernie Cope. Not a lot, just a little. They will make an adjustment on their first pit stop of the day. And Ray mentioned the 16 of Brian Scott. He finds himself in the 7th position after starting 6th earlier today. He too says his truck is loose, but Jeff Hensley, his crew chief, said on the radio, don't worry, Hoss, those guys are backing up to us. We're where we need to be, and now problems on the track. Tim Bainey Jr. with smoke.
About halfway of a fuel run, and Tim Bainey Jr. pulls off the racetrack, and I would guess we'll see quite a few guys on pit road.
We're going to see them all on pit road because that will get them in their window to be able to make this race on one more pit stop if they need to for fuel.
But let me ask you a question. How many of them will just come in and get gas for now?
I think we might see a lot of them do that, or we may see some 2 tires, or some 4 tires.
There's going to be a variety of strategies, I think, now with this caution falling at this point in the race. Some people might decide they don't need to get tires to grab some track position. We've all heard how tough it is to pass this little track.
And the tires are not falling off at all, Michael. I know I was talking to Mike Bean, Colin Brown's crew chief. He said he had 70 laps on his tires yesterday, and they weren't but just a couple tenths of a second off what he could run when they were fairly new.
Bainey's concerned about his truck. I don't think he's going to get it fixed. We're going to give a lucky dog away. Aaron's is putting J.R. Fitzpatrick back on the lead lap. So bad luck for the Aaron's truck, but good luck for J.R. Fitzpatrick. He gets the Aaron's lucky dog and goes back to the lead lap. Got a chance to make something out of today.
That'll put 22 on the lead lap. Todd Bodine looks to be strapping in, fired back up. Apparently they've got that fuel pump issue solved. And so we'll see the Lumber Liquidators, number 30, Toyota Tundra, back on the racetrack. And again, our first caution of the day has taken place.
You see that little sticker on his headrest? Right between the Lumber Liquidator stickers? That's an I ain't scared.
I ain't scared of the 88 of Matt Crafton. But I think he's got an elephant
over there by
joining him on the left side.
He has all kinds of accoutrement.
You learned that in Italy, I'm sure, right?
I don't know why I said that.
Yeah. Here come the field on the pit road. Adam Alexander.
First pit stops of the day will happen at lap 39, and these drivers will likely come down twice, once for tires and then come back for fuel. Matt Crafton's crew on the pit wall. He has complained about being tight in the early portion of this race, but Hafley, the crew chief, said that left front fender being knocked in didn't help. They will get 4 tires, and they will also top it off with fuel the next time around, along with an adjustment. Bottom of your screen, Kevin Harvick already pulling away. His service is complete. It looks like they got fuel the first time in an adjustment. He was loose, Ray.
Tight in the center and a little bit off. An air pressure adjustment for Ron Hornaday. You see the Copart truck pull away. Kyle Busch talked with his crew chief and said, I'd like to make an air pressure adjustment, but Richie Waters said, I think it's going to hurt us in the long run. Let's leave it just like it was. Tires for the 51.
So Kevin Harvick wins the race off of pit road. A couple trucks stayed on the racetrack, 48 and 57. Norm Benning was back out on the racetrack in that 57. And the 48, Richard Harriman also did not come onto pit road. Harriman scored 2 laps down, though, so we'll see. Now the field, I'm sure, will be making another hard left turn.
Kevin Harvick's
going to stay out, so he made his stop. 1 stop this time, and the field now filing behind the 51 of Kyle Busch onto pit road. Adam?
And Matt Crafton will come back down for fuel and an adjustment. The word on Kevin Harvick, stay on the racetrack. Let's see what we've got on this set of tires. You can see him looking at that left front fender and topping off the 88 with fuel. Right.
51 is in for Kyle Busch. He says, I think Harvick doesn't understand the rules down here. We'll see how it plays out, but they're going to get fuel in this number 51 Mikusuki truck. The 33 is going to race him down the end of pit road. It's going to be a drag race, and looks like the 51 may have gotten him.
They'll be lucky if one of those two weren't speeding.
Exactly.
You get in a competition like that, leaving pit road, you're trying your best to look at your tire, but you're also looking at that other truck.
I think this is a planned situation for Kevin Harvick. Number one, he wants to see how his truck will react without putting tires on it, and that may give some information for that 33 truck for later.
Well, I mean, I think it's a great call. I'm surprised more people didn't do it. We're only 40 laps in. These tires hold up well. You've got to make another pit stop anyway.
Watch this race off pit road.
Ooh, Hornaday got him, but darn, like I said, he's on the outside, so he's got a little bit further to go than Kyle Busch, so he's got to be running even faster than Kyle, more so than it looked because of the further distance he had to go.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back for the green flag here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Hell of a good 200. Real good up to this point. Welcome back. Field coming out of turn number 4, awaiting our first restart of the race. Green flag back in the air.
Here comes 5 points, I bet. What do you think?
Yeah, I would think Kevin Harvick's going to make sure his team truck, importantly to Ron Hornaday, gets these 5 points. He's not making it real easy through 1 and 2.
I thought he would make it easier than that because Kyle Busch is going to come up and try to grab the second spot, taking away the chance for Hornaday to get the lead.
Kevin Harvick pulls away from the 33 of Ron Hornaday. Now Kyle Busch works on the outside of that 33.
Kevin may feel like it's too early to do anything like that. I'm sure he would like to have done that without the 51 truck being involved.
I think I would have got him right then if I could. Rolled over and let my teammate grab the lead off too. He was up beside him, but it is early. You're right.
Kyle Busch has led 24 of the 43 laps that have been run. 16 were led by the 5 of Mike Skinner. And now we're seeing 6th, 7th, and 8th on the screen.
Battling around the 9 truck of Max Pappas.
There we go. Battle for the lead. Kyle Busch on the outside. Kevin Harvick on the inside. Here they go into 1.
He's got it. These trucks have been awfully good. These 3 trucks running 1, 2, 3 now have shown to be the best 3 trucks here in the early part of this race.
Down the backstretch, still a fender on the inside of that 51. Here comes Harvick.
Wow.
That thing really motored down that straightaway, didn't it?
What's up with that? You don't see that very often. Guys making up truck link or so on the straightaway. Usually got to make up those valuable truck links down in the corner.
Ooh, Kevin got a little bit loose there.
Kyle Busch now up front. Harvick's going to move over for his teammate.
He said, you go try him out, Ron.
I couldn't do nothing with him. I couldn't hold him back. You go give him a shot. I still think it's a great strategy by Kevin Harvick. At least it gives him information for what goes on later on in the race. And if Ron Hornaday could possibly come in, do some pit strategy, maybe to get the lead or maybe to advance his position.
Well, we'll just see what happens. I think that's what it's all about right now. See where that 2 truck settles in at after his pit strategy play.
Timothy Peters on the outside of that 16 of Brian Scott. Those two door to door right now, battling for the 21st and 22nd position. 20th and 21st. Adam?
And just a quick question for Michael and Phil on this strategy. Obviously, the vast majority of those who came down pit road took tires there, but only 2 sets of tires on the ground in the pit area for this race. Is it possible this is just tire conservation for a late pit stop and a rally to the front?
I don't think so, Ray. These tires hold up so well. I think the best chance you got is to maybe leave a set of those tires on pit road, at least 2 of them, and get that valuable track position. And we're going to learn a lot about that over the next 10, 15, 25 laps. If Harvick's given up a couple of spots, but if the advantage the new tires give those guys goes away, and he's able to rally back to the front, that's valuable information.
Absolutely, and his lap times right now are very comparable to the 2 trucks running in front of him. So I think so far here, I know we're early on in this run, but so far it's working.
Saw the Geico truck just behind that 11. Now we're seeing Brian Scott look up to James Busher, MaxForce.com, number 10. There's Max Pappas. So easy a caveman could do it.
Now you're talking 15 minutes will save you 15%.
Max Pappas on the outside of Brian Scott still. Brian Scott running 19th. Pappas, he's already a lap down. He's 23rd.
He is the first truck lap down. In fact, he's the only truck lap down. So Max he'd like to see the caution flag fall, put that first 50 laps behind him, and see if he can't rally back and get something good out of this day.
And he's really here to learn about this racetrack. Obviously running a limited schedule in the Sprint Cup Series, and and Max is getting a lot of experience. If he doesn't have a cup car at the racetrack, a lot of times he's in this Geico Toyota in the Truck Series to get some experience.
Chris Jones, Chad McCumbee, both off the racetrack. Mike Harmon as well.
Todd Bodine back on the track. There you see racing along behind Max, but he's 33 laps down after fixing his fuel pump.
Here's the difference between first and second. Kyle Busch has about 6 truck lengths between he and Ron Hornaday. Ray Dunlap.
Well, guys, we saw earlier in the race where Kevin Harvick got into the fender on Matt Crafton. Everybody believing that was intentional. Kyle Busch thinks maybe the same thing happened between he and the 2. Here, as we look at the replay, you see the 2 comes up there, gives him a little bit of a nudge. That doesn't look like where it could be to me. I'm not sure. Kyle came on the radio and said the 2 is trying to ruin my aerodynamics. Didn't look too bad to me, but Kyle certainly thinks that Harvick's out to knock people's fenders in.
Well, Kevin Harvick got loose is what happened. He had to chase his truck up the hill. There was no intent whatsoever on that situation. I know obviously from the driver's seat it may have felt like that, but from us watching that and viewing that, there was no intent there.
No, he just got sideways and had to correct his truck and caught the back of Kyle Busch's truck. But if you want to see a classic example of trying to mess up some dude's fender, watch what Harvick did to Crafton when he caught him earlier in the race. That's just textbook. He squeezed him up, caved his fender in, but it looks like Crafton has been able to rally from that. They got the fender pulled out quite nicely on their pit stop. He's riding along in the 6th spot. His lap times are right there at it. So
keep an eye on Brian Scott on the inside. James Bush with the 10 on the outside. Watch, they make a little contact getting down in turn number 1.
That's an aggressive move by Brian Scott. Anytime you lay your, look at there.
Amazing that the rear wheel stayed on the ground there as he kind of climbed up over the hood of the 10 when he went out of the turn.
That was aggressive. He dove down in the corner, laid right up against the other truck, didn't get loose, and then just drove over top of it.
There was a lot of racetrack down below where that 16 truck was.
The gap
didn't have a chance of getting down there to that racetrack, though, as hard as he went in the corner.
Kyle Busch just 3 truck lengths now in front of Ron Hornaday. Can Hornaday get by Kyle Busch? Again, Hornaday's got a streak going at this racetrack, looking for 3 wins in a row in Loudon.
Good name for a show on speed.
It is.
I like that.
Jason White had problems. He pulled into the garage area, had a little fire coming out of the cowl. No problems for the 51 of Kyle Busch. He's put some distance between Ron Hornaday since the last time we saw him.
Tough break for Jason White and the Gunbroker Dodge. He watched the cowl right at the base of the windshield. You see a little bit of fire. It flamed up a little bit when he got to pit road, and we were eavesdropping on the radio traffic, and they were saying, "Get out, Jason, get out!"
This might have been a little bit exaggerated, but obviously when you're around a fire, you don't want to. You don't want to play with fire.
No, that's for sure. Smokey Bear told me that a long time ago.
I always felt bad because I always say only you can prevent forest fires. I thought that's a lot of pressure on a 6-year-old.
I can't handle that. not at 6.
Yeah, that's too much. Well, Kyle Busch has been pretty dominant ever since he's been out in front. Now he's led 42 laps of the 62 that are complete. Ron Hornaday runs second, but he's 0.6 of a second back. Kevin Harvick has settled into third, but almost 2 seconds behind race leader. Then Mike Skinner and Johnny Sauter, your top 5.
Remember now, we've run about 20 laps since we restarted. Kevin Harvick, same tires he started the race on now, but he's only about 1.7 seconds behind. So I think that worked.
It did work, and I think it also is valuable for what's going to happen later. You get the right circumstances where you can maybe forego tires, just get you some gas. You might have to do that, especially this, like you said earlier, Phil. This is a long race. There's a lot of stuff that's got to transpire between now and lap 200, and having that in your pocket, that knowledge in your pocket of what not getting tires did for you, could pay off.
Adam Alexander, the 16. Normally we see him running up in the top 10, but right now he's flirting with just a top 20 spot.
He was in the top 10 much of the early part of this race, but an incident around the pit stop when he hit Rick Crawford made him come down pit road 3 times instead of just 2. He lost a ton of track position. That's why you see him racing TJ Bell for position as opposed to Matt Crafton, Stacy Compton, and Johnny Sauter for a spot up in the top 7. So big-time track position issues for Brian Scott. We'll see if they can employ some sort of strategy to put him back toward the front of the field.
Leaders in heavy traffic that allowed Ron Hornaday to drive right up to the rear bumper of that 51 truck. Oh, look at that little block.
Kyle Busch decides he'll do a little bit of the blocking he saw from maybe a week ago. Let's see how he does. Hornaday to the inside. Kyle Busch on the outside.
Maybe he's being the Matt Crafton police. He said he was friends with Matt Crafton before the race. He certainly took Ron down to the bottom of the racetrack and dared Ron to hit him. Ron elected not to.
Ron holding on to the second spot. Kevin Harvick now closing that gap just a bit more, running third. Ray, what are you hearing from the Hornaday camp?
Well, just letting you know, Michael was talking about, did they learn something from Kevin Harvick about not putting on tires? I can promise you that Rick Wren is not going to take that strategy if we get the next round of a pit stops when he expects it to be. He's thinking it'll be around 125 or 130. That's traditionally what's happened in this race the last 2 years. And both of those years, Ron Hornaday went on to win. And on the second round of pit stops, they put on 4 tires and gas. And Rick Wren is taking a look at this thing as just one more race in a big picture for a championship. I don't think they're going to roll the dice at all. You'll see tires and fuel, or at least tires, for the 33 in Hornaday.
Check out this battle for the lead right here now.
Once again, the two trucks tangling. Hornaday trying to go to the inside of Kyle Busch.
Looked like Hornaday had the measure of Kyle Busch. Kyle went really high, but he used that momentum and held off Ron. Ron's not giving up down on the bottom of the racetrack.
Coming up to some slower lap traffic. We'll see how that plays into this battle for the lead. Now Hornaday to the inside of the 51.
Remember, Hornaday has not led you. Boy, did he drive it down in turn number 1.
See if he can hold it down there. Here comes Kyle Busch on the backside again as they go down the back stretch. Hornaday out in front of Kyle Busch.
Could get those all-important 5 bonus points here. He can beat Kyle back to the line.
That truck is
way down to the bottom of the track.
So fun to watch Ron hustle that truck. He smelt those 5 points, didn't he? He saw a chance he could get them, and he dove hard down into turn 1 and grabbed the lead and got him 5 points right there.
What it looks like from Kyle Busch's vantage point of that Copart.com 33 Chevrolet.
With Kyle's Toyota on board. He's got Kevin Harvick now right behind him. See, about 2-3 truck lengths back, that 2 truck, Kevin Harvick.
4 also one of Kevin Harvick incorporated trucks. J.R. Fitzpatrick in that truck. And he's a lap down.
There's Harvick on those used tires.
But holding on to that 3rd position. Now Skinner is back from him about 2 seconds behind him. This is a battle for 13th. Here's Rick Crawford on the inside of Terry Cook. Both drivers have been to victory lane at this racetrack.
This
like
is a battle.
To be able to make the pass.
Now they're battling for the 13th spot. Rick gets it. What's going to happen when these trucks head west and Harvick can't go out there and make sure everything works out all right?
Well, maybe will they send the sheriff, Michael McDowell, out there?
I mean, that's a long way to Vegas. That's well west of here.
That is well west of here. It's been good racing back behind the top 2. We've seen the lead spot changed a couple times now. As Ron Hornaday is out front. 49 laps were led by Kyle Busch, 16 by Mike Skinner to start this race. Now it's Ron Hornaday's turn to lead laps. Kevin Harvick has also been out front. Again, the Copart Challenge of Champions. Copart on the hood of the 33 of Ron Hornaday. You can vote for him. Go to Copart.com. Hell of a good 200 continues on speed. It's Ron Hornaday, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick. They are your top 3, Skinner and Sauter, rounding out our top 5. Early on, there's been contact, and it's continuing all the way through. Welcome back. New Hampshire Motor Speedway. you better not miss it.
I don't want to miss it. I missed it last week.
New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It's Ron Hornaday still in front of Kyle Busch. Now almost a second separating those two. Kevin Harvick still holding on to 3rd. Remember, Harvick only came onto pit road 1 time just for fuel. He is still riding on his old tires.
And he was the fastest truck on the racetrack that last lap by about 1/10 of a second over Kyle Busch and Hornaday.
So I think we can safely say that tires might not be a big issue in this one.
Yeah, but I kind of like what the guys on pit road were saying. I don't know how it's going to work out for strategy from here on out, Phil. They're going to run to lap 125 or 30 and get 4 tires, and then I think they're done.
Yeah, I do too.
So Kevin learned something by not putting on tires, but he's not going to be able to take advantage of it, I don't believe.
Well, if the cautions would have fallen differently, it may have. But again, he didn't gain that much track position because he was running up in the top 5 when they made their first round of pit stops. He got the lead, but he didn't gain that much.
But there were other guys that could have taken advantage of that.
To get some track position.
Exactly.
And nobody else did.
And no one did. And they could have did what Kevin did and grabbed some track position that would be very valuable later. Kevin, like you said, already had it, but now he's been able to maintain it, and he's even closer to the front than he was before the caution fell. So perfect move for that Harvick team. Some other guys could have taken advantage of that same strategy.
As we've had about 40 laps of green flag racing, the field's spreading out a bit. Let's do a top 10 drop back, starting with Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. Let's talk about Ron Hornaday. Of course, he's dominated the last 2 times we've been to this racetrack, leading 459 laps in his career at this track before today started. You know that Hornaday is going to be up front, but he just came on the radio and told Rick Wren it is starting to hop in the middle a little bit. So Wren says, ride it out for me. We'll make you one more adjustment on the next round of pit stops. Now, Kyle Busch back in second place. He's a little bit tight in the center. It's the 3rd race for this particular truck. They finished second with it at Phoenix last year, and Kyle Busch is telling Richie Waters that it will not roll the center the way he wants it to, saying they should have made the adjustment they had talked about in the first round of pit stops. Adam?
Ray, you have to be impressed with the job done by Kevin Harvick on this run. We have talked so many times about the fact they went fuel only on those pit stops at lap 39. His lap time's very consistent with Hornaday and Busch in front of him. How good is the truck? Well, Kevin saying nothing on the radio. That's got to be a good sign, Ray.
A little bit tight in the gas for Mike Skinner, and this is chassis 106, the exact same truck that Skinner has used to win the last 2 races. He started on the pole at Iowa and 9th at St. Louis and ran it to the front, but so far today it's just too tight in the center. Let's check in on Thor Sport, back with Adam.
An impressive day once again for the 13 of Johnny Sauter. It looks good as far as the numbers are concerned, but the truck not where Johnny would like it to be. Extremely tight in traffic, and the tires chattering through the corners. Right behind him, Matt Crafton was first, very tight on that first run of the day. However, Crafton says his truck is getting better. He has been stable in the 6th position on this run. And how about the guy running back in the 7th spot? We're talking about Stacy Compton. This is a team that has not experienced a great deal of luck throughout 2009. Started 14th, very solid on that opening run of the day. Stacy said the truck is good. And right behind him, Colin Brown also said tight early in this race, but they made a wedge adjustment on that first pit stop. He says it's coming around, Ray.
You know, when you look at the numbers for Eric Almirola, Adam, it's just really, really impressive. In his last few races, he's had a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th, a 6th, and an 8th. That's some really good numbers. And I talked with Billy Ballou in the garage area, and I said, I can't believe somebody hasn't signed this kid and got him in a full-time ride. He said, Ray, I promise you I'm working on it just as hard as possible. We want to keep Eric right here in our stable. And looking back, the 10th position is the number 3 truck of Austin Dillon. What a great job this young man has done. He's in his 2nd race this season here, and keep in mind, his dad is up on the spotter stand talking him through it, and he told him you are braking a little bit too hard on the entry to the corner. You got to roll in, save your braking till the center a little bit, and that gets you a better exit off. Of course, I'm talking about Mike Dillon, the father of Austin.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the run through the top 10. Adam and Ray doing a great job.
Look at that truck that Austin Dillon's riding in front of right now, the 8 of Dennis Setzer. If you can run ahead of Dennis Setzer on a racetrack, any racetrack in the country, but a racetrack like this is right in Dennis's wheelhouse here, and Austin is holding his own with Dennis.
Kyle Busch has been able to close in on Ron Hornaday a little bit as they caught traffic. That's James Busher. They put a lap on. James is riding along in the 18th spot. So
17 on the lead lap. TJ Bell, the last truck to be on the lead lap, trying to stay in front of that 33 of Ron Hornaday.
You know, a lot of the guys talking about tires chattering in the corners. Goodyear will only, NASCAR will only allow these guys to put a minimum of 30 pounds of air in the right front tire. When you get the buildup, that really gets that right front tire, Michael, outside of the window where they would like for maximum grip. So that's why you probably hearing a lot of guys talk about wheel chatters, because they have more air pressure in than they would like to have right now.
And that's why a really balanced truck's important, Phil. You want to use that right rear tire as much as you can to keep all that pressure off that right front tire.
Kyle Busch trying to catch Ron Hornaday. We talked about the 3 of Austin Dillon. Well, there's Grandpa Richard Childress up on top of the hauler, taking a look at young grandson Austin Dillon running in the top 10. The fireworks have been flying already from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Who's going to get to victory lane? We're about to find out.
Truck Series at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Second caution of the day brings the leaders to pit road at lap 92. It will be a 4-tire stop for Johnny Sauter. He will come back for fuel. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick definitely getting tires. This time you see him bottom of your screen. They too will come back for fuel, Ray.
A raise up on the track bar for Kyle Busch, trying to loosen up that Miccosukee truck for sure. They are going to do fuel only on this round of pit stops. We see a number of trucks rolling off my end. There was fuel going in for the number 5. We'll see if they come back for tires.
Hornaday wins the race off pit road the first time. This is why we're under caution. The 71 of Rob Fuller.
So just on the outside of the 51 of Kyle Busch and just lost control, lost the right rear corner. Roundy went and made some pretty significant contact with that Draco Chevrolet.
You can see how hard he hit that outside wall, but man, those safety barriers. Watch Rob here.
This is what Ron saw.
Oh, I'm loose.
Yeah.
He just couldn't pull her down to the bottom of the racetrack. The thing was a little bit loose on entry, and so when he turned down in there, it just went away. Adam, what's going on?
And everyone going to come back here for fuel. The 88 of Matt Crafton will come down and get his fuel. This after he took right side tires only on that first stop. They will also make an adjustment. Kevin Harvick coming back for his fuel. They will not make an adjustment on the deuce. They did it with air pressure his first time around, Ray.
Down on my end, not a lot of action down here, Adam, because most of the guys have decided to stay out. TJ Bell comes down here to get some fuel. He did tires on the first round of pit stops, and as this group goes off pit road, we'll realize that the number 51, the 5, and the 33 all stayed on the racetrack.
That was the race off of pit road. TJ Bell will get in front of that 88 of Matt Crafton. The Ernst Lucky Dog goes to James Busher, so he'll get a lap back and be on the lead lap. That will put 18 on the lead lap when we see the green flag. Ron Hornaday making one stop. He will be in front of the field when the green flag flies. Mike Skinner, who started on the pole, he is now sitting second. Kyle Busch has been dominant. He's led 49 of the 96 laps of this race. He will restart third. And the sheriff, Michael McDowell, he will restart fourth in that Thor Sport number 98. TJ Bell rounding out our top 5 when the green flag flies. We'll be right back for it. When he was talking to Max Pappas, check it out. There's the chair that we've just talked about.
I like how they've got their areas roped off.
It is their area. You saw a red tape around there. Well, we're under a red flag condition as the 71 of Rob Fuller hit the wall so hard that they decided we better get out there and fix this. So they've got welders out there to take care of that. That's why they've stopped the field on the backstretch.
Well, we have this opportunity. Why don't we see if we can maybe, as we watch Robbie Fuller, just get a little bit loose getting in the corner, as you mentioned, Michael. Just so loose that his rear end wouldn't let him turn the wheel, and then he got the right rear out in the loose stuff, it looked like.
And you know, it's so frustrating as a driver. He knew he was in trouble well before the wreck ever happened, but he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't crank on the wheel hard enough to keep himself out of trouble. He knew that was developing, and he couldn't avoid it. And once that thing goes into the gravel, into the loose stuff out there, it snaps around so quickly, no one could save it.
Ray Dunlap.
Let's talk with Rick Wren here. Rick, I just made a report just a little while ago that says I'll guarantee you Rick Wren's going to put tires on that truck, and you didn't happen. So why?
I know it's out of my norm, isn't it? I normally always bolt on tires. We had about 45 laps on that set of tires right there, and I've been watching Harvick's lap times, and he's staying right there, and he had 92 or 93 laps plus qualifying on that set of tires. So right now, it kind of puts us in the playing field that Skinner, Busch, Harvick, and us each have a set of tires left, and everybody else is out. So we're probably all banking that somewhere around 50 laps from now we'll catch a caution, we'll come in, bolt on forward tires, and then the four of us are going to duke it out. But I don't know. I mean, I had to play a different strategy. I played the strategy in Chicago, and we got beat. So I'm playing it a different way today, and I might get beat again. But these pit road rules are really funny, the way they play out and the fuel mileage, and it's a nightmare to sit up there and try to figure this out.
I know one thing, we're not quite in the fuel window to go the distance here without a lot of caution, that's for sure. So expect for the 33 to come back down pit road here one more time. Let's go back to the other end of pit road and check in with Double A.
Meanwhile, the boss is running up in the top 10 as well, talking about Kevin Harvick, and his crew chief is Ernie Cope. And just as we go to talk to him, he turns away there. But no, that's all right. We were talking to Rick Wren about strategy. He went tires early and then no tires here in the middle section of this race. You did the opposite. How do you anticipate strategy to play out from here?
Well, what I see is about half are going to take tires and half are going to go probably fuel only at the end. You don't know. If these things fall way off, we still got another set in the pits. We might put them on too. But we have an option right now, so it just matters when the caution comes out next.
Now, you guys have won 2 nationwide races this year, but those pit road rules are a little bit different. How tough is it to manage a race in the Truck Series when you don't do it every week?
Yeah, this is tough. This changes everything. I mean, we just kind of made a plan and sticking with it and see how it falls out.
And it doesn't hurt to have Harvick behind the wheel when you're racing in one of these deals.
Here you see Matt Kraft on the 88 car, the Sylvania Menards Chevrolet. Let's see if we can chat with Matt. Hey, Matt, Phil Parsons up in the speed booth. You have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, how's your race going? It obviously was pretty eventful. When you started, we see a little bit of damage on that left front fender. How's that truck?
I mean, we fought tight ever since then. I mean, our boy took care of the left front fender on us, but I mean, what do you expect? You guys got the class. So this Menard Chevy, I mean, it's good. It just fires off a little too free, and it slowly comes to me, but we just need to work on getting it to fire off a little quicker. So we're just working on some air pressure adjustments, and we'll be all right, I think.
You're going to restart this race in the 6th position when we go back to green flag racing. You've got that 2 truck of Kevin Harvick that you've already had contact with, and that damaged that left front fender behind you a couple spots. You expecting anything?
I was told that he's not supposed to mess with anything in the championship, and we'll see. We'll see what he does. We'll see how he acts. And we're just going racing. I mean, I'm worried about going to get in this checkered flag today. See what happens. I ain't looking in the rearview mirror. I'm going to flip that rearview mirror up and dig.
All right, you dig to the end. Have a good one, buddy.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at our quality in race summary as we've closed in on the halfway point. Ron Hornaday out in front. 4 different leaders, 4 lead changes. Our average speed over 111 miles per hour. 2 cautions, and now this one turning into a red flag condition as they fix the wall. 11 trucks out of the race before we hit the halfway point. Green flag just going in the air for the hell of a good 200. Ron Hornaday in front of Mike Skinner. The 51 of Kyle Busch. Look at the outside of that 5 on the restart.
Remember, these top 4 trucks only made 1 pit stop this time. Only fuel for the top 4 trucks.
Look at the log jam behind the front 3. The front 3 broke away, but darn, the whole world's coming to an end in the back. Those guys are all over each other.
Peters made a nice move to get by the 4th, J.R. Fitzpatrick. J.R.'s still 1 lap down.
Teammates Michael McDowell and Matt Crafton now nose to tail.
You see these trucks really trying to work things out in the back.
Kevin Harvick just got by the 6 of Colin Brown. Now he's behind the 11 of T.J. Bell. Matt Crafton gets by the Sheriff, Michael McDowell in the 98.
Michael's done a nice job. Started just around the 20th spot and hung in there all day long. And now it finds himself up in the 5th spot, running in the top 5 for Michael McDowell. He's a race car driver. You know, he just learns, he evaluates what he's got, learns, and always improves, just constantly gets better.
He's done a nice job in the Nationwide Series this year as you watch this battle for the lead between Hornaday and Busch. The sponsor went away from his team about halfway through, and then he's maintained a top 10 spot in the points by driving several different cars.
And he's made those cars perform, too. He gets in the cars and they run good.
Driving away.
Kyle Busch talking about Skinner driving away, or excuse me, Hornaday driving away from him to the Copart.com Chevrolet.
Well, he got in the throttle before he did in that corner.
He ain't driving too far away. He can still read Copart on the back. That's kind of how I judge it. The guy gets out on me a little bit and I can't see what's on the back of his car anymore. I know I need to hurry up.
Side-by-side racing here. Max Pappas on the outside of Rick Crawford. Here comes Austin Dillon in that black number 3. 3 wide now. Boy, I don't know about David Starr throwing the nose of that 24 in there.
Austin was not coming in the pits. He was just on the apron to make that pass.
I like that he knew he could do that. You know, 19 years old, a kid that hadn't done a whole lot of racing, and he knew he could get all the way down on that apron and still be fine. That was a great move.
Todd Bodine's on board. Remember, Todd, over 30-some laps down, had a fuel pump issue early on in this race. Tough break. Great battle right in front of him. Dennis Setzer, the A-truck on the inside. Terry Cook, the Cajun Harris trucking truck on the outside.
Todd was 33 laps down when he came out of the pit after fixing his truck, and he's still 33 laps down. It's going to be a while before he can get an Aaron's Lucky Dog or two, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to get that many cautions.
He is quite a few laps down, 33 to be exact. We see side-by-side racing, battle for positions all over the racetrack.
The Eric Almirola 15 going by the 16 of Brian Scott. There's Johnny Sauter, the Fun Sand Chevrolet. Remember, Johnny was up in the top 5 earlier in the race. Right now being shown in the 11th spot, trying to wrestle that 10th spot away from the 16 of Brian Scott.
You know, you gotta be impressed with our boy Matt Crafton. He restarted 6th, and there he is on the back bumper of Mike Skinner for the 3rd spot. So he talked about his truck being a little bit loose when he fires off and then gets a little bit tight. They've obviously made some good adjustments to that 88 truck. It's currently running, look at there, a little bit sideways off the corner, but gaining ground at the same time.
Never backed off. Here's the sheriff, Michael McDowell, Kevin Harvick trying to get by Michael. That is a battle for the 5th position.
Michael's going to surrender the 5th position, fall back to 6th, but look at that gap he's got. You know, he's playing a little bit of pit strategy, but he's got him a nice gap right there back to the truck of TJ Bell. So he can ride along there in that 6th spot.
And we know he's got another set of tires left in the pits if he decides to use them.
TJ Bell running in the 7th spot, right?
And some pit strategy being played out from Rick Gay for that number 11. They knew they had a great truck in practice, but it didn't go very well in qualifying. In the early part of this race, he was sliding up through the center of the corner, so they were making air pressure adjustments. But on this last round of pit stops at lap 92, they went with 2 tires and fuel. So getting a little bit of track position by moving up with a 2-tire stop instead of 4. Adam?
And Ray, when you look at Colin Brown, they have lost a bit of track position. That because they did not play the strategy game when they came down pit road about 15 laps ago. He's getting some strong running now to the inside from Johnny Sauter. But when you talk about Colin Brown and the season he's put together, it's been very good. Of course, getting that win at Michigan, the 50th for Roush Racing in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. And last week at Richmond, Carl Edwards won the Nationwide Series race. That was number 397 for Jack Roush. So now the team approaching number 400. What a milestone that would be.
Brian Scott's on board. We look ahead. He's currently in the 11th spot. Again, started in the top 10. He was 6th. Hornaday still a half a second between he and Kyle Busch up front. Mike Skinner about 2 seconds back, and then it's Crafton right on Skinner's bumper, battling for that 3rd spot. Kevin Harvick rounding out our top 5. Ron Hornaday's been in front of the field for 40 laps. Kyle Busch, the only one that's been out more than that at 49 laps. So Hornaday trying to get another 5 bonus points.
I'm going to be out in Las Vegas next week.
I think I might be there as well.
You are heading west with all these competitors.
Yeah. You coming?
No, I think I'll be in Dover.
Is it okay if we call Johnny Benson?
Yeah, it's fine. It's great. I love Johnny's insight. Okay. He's a champion. He's won this championship. I love when you bring in knowledgeable people to take my place. It makes me look smarter.
We'll do just that. Ray Dunlap, what's happening with 51?
Well, Kyle Busch just came on the radio and says, I think we're getting a little bit hot on the engine here. He said, guys, check and see. Did you clean off the grill for me and see if you can check and get a look at if there's something on the grill? So we'll see if we can zoom in on that and get you a tight shot to find out if there's a tear off or a piece of tape or something on that 51. Guys, let me know what you find out. But Kyle believing that the water temperature going high on the engine.
There's definitely something there, Ray. I don't know if it's a piece of tear off or maybe just some clear plastic, but there's definitely something. You see right by the TO in the Toyota, and that's where the majority of the air is taken in these trucks is underneath that front bumper. You don't even really see where the air is being taken in, but you can see the water coming out at the base of the windshield there on the right side.
I think that's got the majority of his air intake covered, and you do see some water spewing from that truck. So he'll have to come to pit road pretty quickly. He can't lose a whole lot of water and think it'll be okay.
things will not run with any water, that's for sure.
A couple drivers still working on streaks. The magic number 3 at this racetrack. One of those being Kyle Busch. Mike Skinner looking for his 3rd straight win. Hornaday, his 3rd straight win at this racetrack. And as we mentioned, Kyle Busch, his 3rd straight win and his 3rd start.
Let's talk about a guy going for 4.
How about 4? And Rick Wren.
Rick Wren, he won this race 3 years ago with Johnny Benson, and the last 2 years with Ron Hornaday. Here again, obviously leading this race, going for 4 in a row here at Loudon, Michael.
And leading the race.
How about that?
And you know, this is interesting with Kyle Busch, because his truck is going to handle a little bit differently right now, Phil. He's got that tape on the front. That means the air's not going through the grill and under the hood. It's going over, which is going to give him more front downforce. So that team will have to consider what they do when he pits. If he's turning really good right now and likes his truck, and he is closing in on Ron Hornaday, it's because maybe of a little bit of extra aerodynamic help on the front. So when they yank off that tape to get the engine cool, they're going to have to figure out what they do in return to keep the truck turning well.
And we saw that pushing some water out. We saw his engine pushing some water out. So I think he's going to probably have to stop sooner rather than later. And he's going to have to make a green flag pit stop. And that's going to completely change his strategy.
ThorSport, pretty impressive runs. Matt Crafton leading that team.
You can see Crafton lost that spot to Skinner, but he hasn't fallen very far off the pace from Skinner and Harvick. He's right there with them.
All 3 trucks in the top 10 now. Sauter 6th, Michael McDowell 8th.
This team has gotten stronger as years go on. Matt Crafton obviously now a consistent threat for the championship year in, year out, and certainly a threat for wins on each and every race.
It's been fun to watch that team mature to that level, hasn't it? They've just taken and just slowly crept up to where now not only are they contending for wins, that truck right there is battling for a championship.
Matt Crafton currently 2nd in the point standings. He closed the gap just a bit from last week. 197 points the difference between he and Ron Hornaday. Well, there'll be 6 races after this one.
We said last week that he needed to gain about 30 points on every weekend, and he gained almost that last week. So he stood pat last week and he gained about 30 points, but he has his work cut out for him this week.
He does, because not only is Hornaday leading the race, he's led the most laps now. He's got that 10 points in his corner at the moment. Kyle Busch has caught Ron Hornaday and could take those 5 points that he gets awarded for leading the most laps away from Ron if he could get around Ron. So those points haven't been decided yet, but right now they're over in Ron's corner.
Good battle right here. Mike Skinner in the 3rd spot, Kevin Harvick in the 4th spot. That's allowed Matt Crafton to drive right up on the back bumper, essentially, of Kevin Harvick. He's about 3-4 truck lengths behind right now. That may be as close as he wants to get to Kevin Harvick.
Well, he said earlier, I ain't scared. And so I'm sure he's working to get to the front. Obviously, Matt Crafton would like to lead a lap, get 5 bonus points, and potentially lead the last lap, which would be most important.
He has a T-shirt that says he's not scared.
He even gave me a T-shirt, so I've got one. Skinner just in front of the 2. Again, in front of them is that 51 of Kyle Busch. Are we hearing anything about Kyle Busch, maybe in that overheating problem?
Well, here's the situation, Rick. They are looking for a lap truck in order to be able to go up and run right to the rear bumper. He just went by Norm Benning, but his spotter, Jeff Dickerson, said Norm was not running fast enough right at that moment for you to go up to use his bumper. So they're looking ahead of Hornaday to see if there's someone. They believe that if Kyle could get the front nose right up on someone's bumper, it might create a vacuum and get that piece of tape off there.
I think it's gone, right?
I think it's gone.
Yeah, and I think he did it on Norm Benning's truck exiting turn 4. What you want to do is run across the back of the truck. He was down on the inside of Norm. He ran to the outside, and I think it sucked that tape right off the front of it.
It's like crossing the wake.
It is, and you know what he did? He ran 31.9 seconds the last lap in order to accomplish that. Lost a ton of time to Hornaday, but he accomplished his goal.
Yeah, he just said, I think we got it. We're down to 240. So he was giving the temperatures back to Richie Waters, and I'm sure 240 is a lot better than what he was running.
Yeah, well, the temperature gauge is going in the right direction now. It's coming down. That's what's key.
I believe that's Joey playing video games up on top of the, well, maybe not video games. He's enjoying the race on speed. Hornaday out in front of the field. Kyle Busch running 2nd. Hornaday has now led 59 laps in Loudon. The next time the trucks will be on the track will be next Saturday in Sin City, Las Vegas. The title battle continues between Crafton and Hornaday. Hornaday out front here. Can he keep his luck going when we go to Las Vegas? You'll have to tune in. 9 o'clock, the setup with Chris Devoda.
For those of you that can't be in Las Vegas, Michael, you're going to be watching though, right?
Oh, I can't wait. That's good TV right there. 9 o'clock, laying up on the bus, watching you cats.
Well, for those of you people at home, you need to set your DVR to get that truck race from Las Vegas. But if you're around Darlington, you need to check out the Darlington Historic Racing Festival. It's going to be a great weekend of speed. You're going to have some really cool cars. You're going to have some autographs. You're going to have Cale Yarborough, David Pearson, and Humpy Wheeler there to do questions and answers and sign autographs. And A.J. Foyt's 1961 Indy 500 winner is going to be there. You want to check that out in Darlington.
Nothing says history to me in NASCAR more than Darlington. When you put David Pearson and Cale Yarborough up in the middle of it,
some great stories there, I'll guarantee you.
That'll be a fun weekend.
You know, David Pearson, obviously one of the front runners to get into that first class of the Hall of Fame. That is going to be voted on next month in October. And well, you might get a chance to hear from David Pearson at that Darlington event.
Cale Yarborough is going to be one of the front runners for that as well.
My brother is as well.
And Darrell Waltrip will be.
I like to think that Bill Sr., Bill Jr., Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt are the four are least. Then that fifth
They're
one,
locked in.
are we going to go with Fireball Roberts or Tim Flock, or is it going to be a Darrell Waltrip or a Cale Yarborough or David Pearson? That fourth one there, or the fifth one, excuse me, I can't wait to see who it is. Do you think those other four are locks?
I think they got to be locks. I really do. I think they have to be locks. But I think you could certainly make a case for 8 or 9 on this inaugural class. But it's only going to be 5. I wish I knew somebody that was on
close running here between T.J. Bell and the 6 of I know you're looking at me when you say that. I feel a lot of pressure that I have one vote.
You should feel a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and you should listen to me and Phil and know that those 4 there are locks.
Well,
vote for those 4.
I've already given who I think the top 5 are going to be. I gave it on Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain about a month ago.
Who was it?
It was the 4 you mentioned and your brother.
Awesome.
That's who I think the first 5 should be, and that's probably the votes that are going to go for me.
Those are 5 good choices.
They are. They had their eras. You know, Richard Petty, obviously, Bill Sr., Bill Jr. forever. Richard Petty, obviously, 70s. Darrell, he was pretty much on the 80s, and then Dale Earnhardt into the 90s and 0s. So those are good choices, Rick.
You will do well if you pick those choices.
Well, I actually justified Darrell a little bit differently, but we can talk about that later. We got a great race on track. Now, everybody would be within their window if they needed to come back in for fuel at this time. And we only have 60 laps of racing remaining in this one, and we know that they can go 80 to 90 laps, so we're okay there if a caution does come out. But now we're just over halfway from when we first came back to green flag racing, and that red flag came out at about lap 100.
Well, obviously, if the caution flag falls now, everybody's going to need some gas. There's going to be some guys who get some tires.
Right. There's really only 4 guys right now that have 4 fresh tires on pit road, and that's Ron Hornaday, Mike Skinner, Kyle Busch, and Michael McDowell.
Does an earlier caution
as well as Kevin Harvick?
Does an earlier caution help them that can get tires maybe for the longer run, or will it benefit them more if it's a shorter run at the end of this race?
I think they need it with 40 or 50 to go to be able to really take advantage of those tires. Either way, I think it's going to be an advantage because of such a long run right here at this point in the race.
And they're going to give a little bit of track position away, so they're going to need the most time that they can have with those tires. If this goes real late, they may elect not to put tires on because they don't want to give up that track position.
Matt Crafton going by Max Pappas. Again, Max Pappas not on the lead lap. Johnny Sauter, his teammate, right behind that 88 of Crafton. Those two are running 4th and 5th.
We're getting a report from NASCAR that they're looking at turn number 4. There may be some debris down there. No caution as of yet.
It'd be an opportune time for a lot of guys to get that last caution. Let's get our gas. Let's make our decision on our tires. Right now, it'd be an easy decision to get tires, but I think in another 20 laps, you're right, Bill. What do? We don't want to give up this track position. We might leave those 4 Goodyear tires laying in the pits today.
Absolutely. We see Johnny Sauter take over that 4th spot from Matt Crafton. We're getting a report from the NASCAR officials that the track is clean. I think you probably saw about 15, 20 guys that probably saw that debris down there, and they were good with that call if they would have called that caution.
I like the spotters. They'll call down and say, "You see that debris, right?" Yeah, I see it.
Absolutely. Where is it? Yeah.
How about Johnny Sauter taking 5 points away from his teammate?
Well, he
Crafton.
He was way faster than Matt, and I noticed that while he was riding behind Matt, some water was coming out of his overflow. So the thing had gotten a little bit hot. He needed to get on around Matt and on his way, and he did just that. He's got a fast truck right now.
Get some clean air. Ron Hornaday looks as though he's going to be credited with leading the most laps. How about the battle for second? Didn't last long. Kevin Harvick right by Kyle Busch to take second away.
That wasn't a battle at all. That was just Kevin Harvick just driving by Kyle Busch to take over that second spot.
You know, we heard Kyle Busch. He had made a comment earlier on the radio. He said, I think Harvick is laying back, maybe protecting those tires a little bit. Well, now Kevin Harvick's going to put those tires to a test.
Well, remember now, Kevin Harvick is one of the guys that got fuel and tires on that last caution flag on lap 93 and 94. Kyle Busch did not. He only got fuel.
Kyle Busch falls back to the third spot. Kevin Harvick moves up to second behind his truck. That's Ron Hornaday out in front, right?
Well, let's do a little top 10 drop back as we look through the field here, Rick. When we look at, you guys were talking about what do you do about tires? Well, that's been the great debate on the radio down here for all these guys that are running in the front three positions. Ron Hornaday going for win number 4 at this track, 3 in a row in dominating fashion. Rick Wren just told him we've just passed the point where it'll be beneficial to put tires on. But look at this 1-2 team finishes in this history of the series. You see Roush Fenway did it a lot of times with 11, but how about KHI with 3 times where they've gone 1-2 as a team, and that's how they're running on the track right now. The last time it happened at Martinsville, Harvick was out front, Hornaday was second, and today it looks like Hornaday and Harvick have a chance at another 1-2.
I'll tell you another one of those 1-2 finishes. It was Atlanta last year, Ryan Newman and Ron Hornaday.
So Hornaday will be trying to hold off team owner Kevin Harvick, who's running a second behind him and closing that gap. He was 0.3 of a second faster on the last lap. Will he continue to close the gap, and will he battle his own team driver for the win at the end of this one? You'll have to stick around. 53 laps remain from Loudon. Welcome back. Here is a battle between Kevin Harvick and Ron Hornaday for the lead. Harvick on the inside of Hornaday. That was for 2 laps they had been doing that. Now Harvick checks up and falls back in behind Hornaday.
Remember now, Kevin Harvick has fresher tires than Ron Hornaday does. Kevin put tires on lap number 93. Ron Hornaday all the way back on lap number 39. We had a little bit of an argument during that commercial whether Kevin Harvick was going to drive up there and pass Ron Hornaday. I didn't think he was gonna. It looked like he was going to, and I'm not sure they just didn't want Hornaday to know that he could if he wanted to.
Let's have this discussion. Phil, you're Kevin Harvick, the driver. Michael, you're Kevin Harvick, the owner. Talk about what's going to take place on the racetrack.
Well, I think that Kevin Harvick is going to pass him. He's got Duracoma on that truck of his. He wants to get the victory lane for them. I believe this championship is in pretty good shape for Ron right now. He has a 237-point lead as they run right at the moment. He's clinched the bonus, I think, for leading the most laps for today. And so Kevin knows all that. He's going to get the lead. Phil?
Now, were you the owner or driver?
I was the owner.
I'm Kevin Harvick, the driver, and I want to pass him for the lead, but I disagree with you as Kevin Harvick, the owner.
I'm the owner because I want to get my other sponsor all the coverage they can get.
Well, they're getting great coverage right now, though, and I'm not saying he won't pass him eventually, but whether he's going to drive by him now, which I think he could drive by him right now and drive away from him if he wanted to.
Why do they keep running side by side? I mean, Hornaday knows he's got a huge lead over third.
They're having a blast right now. Are they not, Michael?
Yeah, Kevin's saying, I can pass you, Ron. And Ron said, well, you've got it to do. You might get beside me, but you know how tough it is to pass here at Loudon.
And don't think there's not a little bragging rights going on right there within the KHI team.
Well, while they're playing up front, that's going to allow Kyle Busch to close the gap.
And I'd say if Kyle Busch gets any too close, that Kevin will turn up the heat a little bit and say, I got to put this pass away. I might have to slide up a little bit, Ron, and borrow some of your room.
Take a look at speeds at the line. I think we might be seeing the 13 be the truck on the move right now. Sure enough, Johnny Sauter.
Wow, he has a half a second. He was a half a second faster than our leader, Ron Hornaday.
Now we're hearing NASCAR is looking into turn 2 for debris or potential debris.
That was a great lap by Johnny Sauter in the 13. Now he got a little bit of draft off Kyle Busch, so that helped a little bit.
Ray, what's going on with that 33 team?
Well, Ron just came on the radio and he said, hey, Corelli, tell Kevin to pass me if he's going to do it. He could have passed me a long time ago. He definitely has a better truck and better tires. Tell him either do it or don't do it, one or the other. Adam?
And they just said to Kevin Harvick, the 13 is on the move and making his way through the field, to which Harvick replied, what do you want me to do? If I'm the boss, I go ahead and make the pass. But there's the guy that everybody's talking about. Johnny Sauter around Kyle Busch, moved him to third, and now he will go on the KHI attack.
What do you mean? How can Kevin Harvick ask somebody else? He's the owner. He's the boss.
Well, he puts it in Ernie Cope's hands. Ernie's his crew chief, and he puts it in his hands.
I think they should talk to Delana.
You need everybody's opinion.
Ask Delana what he should do.
You want to make sure you know what everybody's thinking. But action's fixing to heat up because this 13 truck is hauling the mail.
There's a great battle right here for the 6th and 7th spot. Mike Skinner has 6th. Eric Almirola is close to his rear bumper. Remember now, Michael, we've completed 158 laps. That means only about 40 laps to go. I'm not sure if these guys are going to have enough time to put another set of tires on if the caution were to come out.
I think if it comes out any way soon, Phil, you got to get your tires. I just don't think that Ron Hornaday is going to be able to. Some of these guys aren't going to be able to win if they don't get tires, and that's going to make their decision easier.
Battle for the lead again. Here comes Harvick trying to get by that 33. Still can't make the pass down on the bottom of the racetrack.
Ron Hornaday is not going to give him the lead, that's for sure.
Yeah, he said to either pass me or get away from him. Well, Ron could have just pulled over if he wanted to pass him so bad.
We were talking about those guys having a blast. Kevin might be having a blast, but apparently Ron wasn't having that much of a blast.
Here comes Harvick again, looking to the inside.
And a guy that's only just about a second and a half behind is Johnny Sauter, closing in every lap on these two.
He was a full half second that lap faster than both Harvick or Hornaday.
You can see that brown truck, the front spun sand truck, is closing in.
Again, Hornaday, we know, has clinched as far as the most laps led. That's 5 more points, so he'll get 10 bonus points from this race.
Crafton, the fastest truck, he ran about a half second, close to a half second faster than the leader. So this thing has got a lot of twist to it.
And we know we have another round of pit stops to go.
They have to come back on pit road before we see the checkered flag. So that's going to come into the strategy of who's going to get to victory lane first.
There's our first 4 trucks, 1, 2.
And Taylor Mawson.
Taylor Mawson lap truck, and the other 2 right behind.
So Hornaday and Kevin Harvick, 1 and 2. Well, here comes Harvick once again. Looking to the inside. Can he make the pass this time? Throws that truck down low once again. And here comes Hornaday on the outside again.
All clear. Johnny Sauter is really closing up. He's going to be within about 0.8 of a second of the leader right now.
And look at Kyle Busch. There's the first 4. It was a lap later, but there they all are. Finally, 4 in a row going for the lead.
Top 4 crossing the start-finish line, separated by 1.3 seconds.
Again, 0.4 of a second quicker that time for Johnny Sauter. You can see him right there.
I can't wait to see what happens when Sauter gets there. Is Harvick indeed just playing with Hornaday? Could he push the issue a little bit harder? We're going to find out as soon as that 88 truck gets up. Excuse me, the 13 truck gets up to their bumper.
We're going to stay with it. Rick Wren, he's already standing up. He's pacing back and forth on top of that pit box. Ernie Cope, also a little nervous. He's running second. We'll be back. Welcome back. Hell of a good 200 from New Hampshire. And here comes Kevin Harvick. He was running second. He's on pit road. We heard they're going to put a splash of fuel in this to get him all the way to the end. They think about 5 seconds, Adam.
They said 5 seconds. Kevin Harvick coming in with just over 30 laps to go. Meanwhile, Johnny Sauter will come to pit road. The word on his radio, he's out of fuel. We'll continue to follow the 13th progress. Harvick gets his gas and he's away.
Boy, that's heartbreaking for Johnny Sauter. He could have won this race, and it's all gone now.
Completely gone. Ron Hornaday now on pit road.
Followed by the 88 of Matt Crafton, teammate to the Thor Sport. Number 13 of Johnny Sauter. Sauter still rolling through 3 and 4. He was so good and just needed a splash of fuel. Ray Dunlap.
Ron Hornaday definitely noticed that the 13 had run out of fuel. They come down here, they put the gas can in, taking a look at the truck, everything looks good. They're going to go 4.5 seconds back to Adam.
And the 88 of Matt Crafton comes down pit road, gets his service, and he has pulled away, and very slowly behind him, Johnny Sauter will come down pit road as well. 1 lap too late, the 13 out of gas. He looked like the fastest truck. Unfortunately, it's not meant to be for Sauter. He can't even get the truck fired.
Spraying ether in the cowl there, trying to get it going. He gets it fired back up. He goes back out onto the racetrack.
The 2 truck is behind the 33 truck on the racetracks. That means Ron's guys did a better job getting fuel in and him getting back around the racetrack.
Right now out front is Kyle Busch still leading. Mike Skinner has moved up to second. Eric Almirola runs third. TJ Bell fourth. Colin Brown is fifth. Now your race leader on pit road, Kyle Busch, now getting his splash of fuel, right?
In his last 2 laps, Rick, he came on the radio saying, I've developed a pretty serious vibration. Give me just enough fuel to get to the end. Don't worry about green, right, checker. Give me 1 round on the track bar, and he was in here way less time than the 33.
It's going to be really interesting to see where Kyle Busch comes out in the serial when he gets back to the racetrack.
He's going to have the lead, Phil.
Remember, Kevin Harvick said this is where we're going to have to win it on pit road.
Ray Dunlap
pulled a tear off on the 15 and about the same amount of fuel that Kyle Busch had. A real quick stop. So these guys about in the same sequence, only a half a lap off. And here comes Mike Skinner. Of course, Skinner, one of those guys that's been in this exact same scenario. On 92, at that last pit stop, they went fuel only. He stayed out, coming down here, extending it just as long as possible. We'll see how long Skinner is there. He's a little bit tight getting in, and the fuel man a little late getting to the truck. 3.5, maybe 4 seconds for the 5 truck.
He makes his way off of pit road. We're seeing the 6 of Colin Brown, who led the last lap. He was our race leader. He's now on pit road. Adam Alexander.
It's been a solid day for Colin Brown. They have fought a tight race truck, but he has stayed in the top 10 throughout the afternoon. They will get a splash of fuel and go, and the closer you make it to the end, the less time you need to spend getting the fuel. They wipe off the grill. In fact, pulling a piece off, they will fuel the truck, and Colin Brown will pull away, and he will not get away as quick as Stacy Compton, who came in on the same lap and has been solid throughout the afternoon.
Kyle Busch's strategy may pay off. Just that splash of fuel, a little bit less than everyone else. He is now being scored third and has enough fuel, we believe, to make it the final 25 laps.
There's Kyle right there. Then Michael about 10, 12 truck lengths back is the 33 and the 2. Now they are together again. Kevin Harvick has chased down the 33 of Ron Hornaday, and I think now it's a matter of chasing down that 51. I think if Kevin gets to the 33, he's going to pass him right away if he can.
Race fans, vote for your favorite Copart driver in the Copart Challenge of Champions. Choose between the 33 of Hornaday or the number 30 of Todd Bodine to win a variety of prizes, including an all-expenses-paid VIP race experience in Talladega this October. Go to Copart.com for official rules and to register. Vote now for Copart Challenge of Champions. We'll be back in 90 seconds for the final 20 laps of racing from Loudon. Up next in the Rolex Sports Car Series, only 2 races remain and a mere 5 points separate championship contenders. The competition will be fierce on the high plains of Utah. Don't miss the Rolex Sports Car Series live from Salt Lake City, coming up next right here on Speed. We have got a great battle going right now for third, and it's between truck owner and driver.
Well, and then we just overheard Harvick's radio. He said he needs to let me go before we crash. He knows he's putting himself in a bind when he gets on the inside of Hornaday, but he can't make the pass.
Yeah, he wants to take a run at the 51 truck. He knows that if he's hung up behind Ron Hornaday, he's probably not going to be able to do anything with a 51 of Kyle Busch. Only 19 laps to go. David Starr had stayed on the racetrack. He was running in between them. Now he is on pit road. So nobody in front of Ron Hornaday now but the 51 of Kyle Busch.
Kevin Harvick has been all over the back bumper of that 33. Feels like
in a corner because of getting beside him. He makes it up right away. He needs to get around Hornaday so he can go try to get a hold of Kyle Busch.
They're coming down to 18 laps to go. I don't think he has enough time anymore. I think they've waited so long. He's followed Hornaday ever since they came off of pit road just about on lap number 169 or 170 over 10 laps ago. I think he's run out of time, Michael.
He hasn't followed him willingly. He's been down on the inside. He's been all over him. He just can't get around Hornaday.
They're 2.4 seconds behind Kyle Busch, and now you throw in the 24 of David Starr. He is in between Kyle Busch and that 33 of Ron Hornaday.
Yeah, David now is a lap down. He was running in the second spot when he came to pit road, but
you know, we mentioned earlier that Kevin Harvick voiced his opinion as to how he was going to get to the 51. Let's listen to that.
You better tell him to let me go here before we wreck, so I can go get the 51 or at least try. Exactly, that's what I was thinking.
I don't think right now Kevin Harvick is too happy with the way things are happening on the racetrack. Adam?
And that was not the last thing he said on the radio, some of which I cannot repeat. But basically what he has said is someone needs to deliver the message or else. This team was involved last week in a very heated situation late in the race. I'm talking about Ron Hornaday in the 33, and they could be involved in one again this week, and it won't be Crafton. It could be the boss who's upset.
Getting a report that Kevin said after the race, all crew chiefs and drivers report to Art Haller for a little bit of a team meeting.
We'll have a little powwow to discuss in-race strategy.
That's interesting. Interesting situation because, like Phil said, I think they've given away the chance to win the race now. Ron's racing for a championship. Do you remember the pass at Atlanta last year by Ryan Newman that ultimately cost Ron his championship a year ago? So, you know, Ron's racing his truck thinking, pass me if you can. If not, I'm going to run second. I need those 5 points. Kevin sees it a little bit differently. He thinks that he can get around Ron and then go up there and win the race for KHI, which is a bigger picture view for Kevin Harvick. But man, when you're Ron Hornaday and you know you lost the championship last year because your team truck passed you late in the going.
And think of what happened if the caution flag would have come out. We would have a restart with Kyle Busch up front, Ron Hornaday in second, Kevin Harvick. Kevin thinks he can beat that 51 truck, but he has to get by the 33 to do it.
Well, they are both faster on that lap. Look, Hornaday's looking to the bottom. Is he pulling over? These two trucks are faster than Kyle Busch right now, so there is still a chance they can win the race if they can just sort it out among themselves.
They've gained 0.8 of a second in the last 3 or 4 laps on our leader, Kyle Busch.
Kevin Harvick all over the back bumper. Harvick faster than Hornaday. But again, Harvick has not been able to get by Hornaday, and Hornaday is not letting Harvick by.
Hornaday probably still thinks he can win the darn race. He sees that truck ahead of him getting smaller. Excuse me, bigger. They're catching him.
Here they come. Again into turn number 1. Hornaday, I'm telling you, he has got a mirror full of Kevin Harvick, but he's not laying off for him.
Wow. And here's that caution flag we were talking about. Kevin Harvick was oh so close to getting by Ron Hornaday. Now, Kevin's still not going to be happy. I'll guarantee you that.
Now, is Kevin, now that this caution comes out, take a look at this. Is Kevin going to pull up beside Hornaday and say, what are you doing? I mean, if you're not going to listen to your crew chief or your spotter, what's happening here?
Well, he can probably turn his radio over to Ron's.
Well, they probably do have
That's the most ignorant thing I've ever seen right there.
Said that's the most ignorant thing he's ever seen before.
Again, this is after the caution. The flag came out. You went up, let him know, hey, we've got some communication problems here. So the caution has come out. We'll have less than 10 laps to go when we restart. That means single file restart in the Camping World Truck Series. Out in front, it's Kyle Busch. He's looking to make it 3 wins in a row in the truck races that he started. Behind him is Ron Hornaday. He's making a chance or a try at winning 3 races in a row at this racetrack. And right behind him, he's got Kevin Harvick. And it's getting a little bit crazy, right?
I just wanted to add on the 51, he had come on the radio and told Richie Waters, what is our situation on this fuel thing? Are we going to be close? And Richie said, yes, very, very close. And I happened to be looking down pit road, and I saw Rick Wren and some others down in the 33 were listening in on that 51. But, of course, that's all going to go away right now because of the fact we got this caution. So the 51, 33, 2, they all stay on the racetrack. But on my end of pit road, Mike Skinner is bringing his Exide Toyota Tundra down here, and he's going to put 4 tires on. He was very, very tight. He didn't have any shot at winning this race. So Eric Phillips says we'll get those fresh tires on right now, send him back to the racetrack, and we'll find out if he's got enough time to get back through the field. Adam?
And just one follow-up as far as Kevin Harvick is concerned. They came over the radio and said, Kevin, Ron is extremely loose. What do you want? Harvick simply replied, it's way too late. They've already screwed it up.
I don't think it is too late. I think they can still win this race. They were gaining.
They were fast.
Kyle Busch. But, you know, Kyle Busch might have been saving a little fuel, too. He talked about the concern of getting to the finish with his fuel, so he could have been saving a little. We saw him cutting his engine off just now when we were inside of his truck under this caution to save some more gas.
And remember, the 2 of Kevin Harvick still has the freshest tires of the 3 guys up front.
This is tense. Intense. That's crazy.
It's tense, it's intense, it's, well, it is a little bit
10 to go.
It's crazy in the sense that we've got 2 guys on the same team that are not communicating well within that team.
And one of them's the owner.
One of them is the
throw
owner.
that out there. I want that one that's the owner to make sure that people understand he's supposed to be the boss, and he needed that. He wanted that spot so he could go win this darn race. But I see Ron's side of it, man, especially if you reflect back a year ago how close that championship was.
And here's Ron's opportunity. We know Ron is great at restarts. Now he's on the back bumper of the 51 of Kyle Busch. Here's a great opportunity for him to win this race by getting by him on the restart.
Can I throw one more little thing out there at you? The guy that's running fourth is Matt Crafton. The restart from last week that made all this crazy intensity boil to this crescendo.
Adam Alexander, how's it been on Ernie Cope's radio?
I guess you could call Ernie Cope the man in the middle. I know Kevin's frustrated. Obviously, he wants to be around Ron. Is there enough time for you guys to get the job done here restarting third, Ernie?
Well, I'm not sure there's enough time. It's so hard to pass here. It's going to be difficult. We'll just give it our best shot, see what happens. Our tires are about 60 laps fresher than them, too.
So, has the message been delivered on the restart? Is he going to get by Hornaday?
I don't know. I don't know what's got on their side of the radio. I'm not sure.
Ernie Cope, crew chief for Kevin Harvick, restarting third and still holding out hope, Ray.
Let's hear from Rick Wren real quick. How you like having a teammate now?
Well, I think right now it's been doing really well. I mean, he's been kind of, I thought he was blocking for a while, but he just told Spotter them last few laps right there, he was running hard. So all I can say is I hope everybody, even in the grandstands, got their seat belts on, because this ain't over yet.
That's for sure. Rick ran through 1 bottle of Tums already. He may have to open up bottle number 2.
I wonder if anybody's told Harvick that Crafton's right behind him. Remember the practice earlier when Harvick was in front of Crafton and he wouldn't let him by? Well, now what's the situation?
Remember lap 20 when you tore my fender up? I might not be happy about that still.
You might not remember, but a week ago on the restart, I was able to get to the inside of a couple guys.
Wow, this is one of the most exciting restarts of the whole 2009 season. What is going to go on when these guys fire off into turn 1?
7 laps to go. Here we go. 7 laps remaining from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Green flag back in the air. Kyle Busch, Ron Hornaday get a great restart.
Kevin Harvick gets a horrible restart.
Harvick's going to be hard-pressed to stay in front of that 88, although his truck has been so strong. Kevin's been very, very good, but now he's able to close the gap between he and Hornaday, and Kyle Busch is pulling away.
Great restart for Kyle Busch. Remember, he's on equal tires with the 33 of Hornaday.
6 laps of racing to go.
How about Eric Almirola up to the 5th spot? Another great run for him.
Johnny Sauter's recovered from running out of gas. He shot all the way up to the 8th spot. Eric Almirola, another top 5. How cool is that, watching this kid operate?
Absolutely. There's Johnny Sauter right behind the 16 of Brian Scott. That's a battle for 7th. Here goes Eric Almirola for 4th.
Almirola trying to take the position away from that 88. And sure enough, Eric Almirola gets in front of the 88 of Matt Crafton. He takes 4th away. 5 laps of racing to go. Kyle Busch, Ron Hornaday, Kevin Harvick, and Eric Almirola.
I think Kyle Busch knew how exciting that restart was going to be. He said, I'm not going to hang around and watch it.
He wanted no part of that.
I'm out of here.
Here goes Harvick, going to take a run at Hornaday.
Inside.
Going to the inside. Again, inside of 5 laps to go.
Still outside.
Will he let him go this time? No, he does not. Too late now. Hornaday still holding on to the 2nd spot. Harvick running 3rd, trying to take it away from him. Kyle Busch out in front of the field. Crafton goes by the 15. Something wrong with Eric Almirola. He slows on the racetrack.
Could he be out of gas? Did they just not get enough gas in that truck? I believe he's out of gas, Phil. Which makes me wonder what's going to happen to that 51 truck. They cut it really close.
They pitted on the exact same lap, the 51 and the 15. Did the 51 get enough fuel in it?
That's going to be the question. The 15 slow on the racetrack down the backstretch.
He's not going to make it back. He's going to stop on the backstretch, it looks like.
He
Guys, the ignition went bad. Ignition on 15.
So the ignition is the problem, not fuel. Here comes Kyle Busch. 2 laps of racing to go. That's Lindy Hornaday right there on the left side. Wife to Ron Hornaday. She is nervous. What will happen in these final 2 laps of racing? Kyle Busch coming out of turn 4.
Oh, 2 to go.
2 to go for Kyle Busch.
Harvick sideways off the corner. Look at all the ground he lost to Hornaday.
1, 2, and 3. Kyle Busch, Ron Hornaday, Kevin Harvick. Down the backstretch they go. They're separated. The top 2 are separated by 10 trunk links. Then it's 4 truck links between Hornaday and Harvick.
Eric Almirola did make it to pit road. He will not cause the caution flag.
He's on pit road. He's just not rolling too quickly. Here they come to the white flag. 1 lap to go. Kyle Busch looking to make it 3 in a row in the truck series.
Hybrid or not.
Saw a great battle for 5th. Stacy Compton, what a good run in that Melling Toyota.
What a cool day it is for Stacy Compton. Good to see him up in the top 5. Great stories all throughout the top 10. Johnny Sauter gets a hold to the left rear of Compton. Can he make the pass?
Well, it may not be done yet.
That's for a top 5 spot. Johnny Sauter takes the position away from Stacy Compton. Coming out of turn number 4, Kyle Busch is going to make it 3 in a row in the Camping World Truck Series. He wins a hell of a good 200.
Yeah. He wins a hell of a good 200. That was a great 200.
The hell of a good 200.
He sure did.
Great run, though. Johnny Sauter battled back after running out of fuel for a top 5 finish.
The 2 sliding by the 33 down the backstretch. He speeds down the backstretch. Let's go down and hear from winning crew chief Richie Waters. He's with Ray Dunlap.
Yeah, he's getting some high fives from the entire crew here. And I'll tell you what, Richie, how's it feel to be back with Kyle Busch and getting 3 wins?
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know what to say. The kid's awesome. Man, I didn't think we could make it the rest of the way. We figured fuel mileage 3 or 4 times. We thought we'd be 5 laps short, and then we got the caution, and we'll see what it holds there. But God be with us, been with us today, I guess. And I don't know what to say. The kid's awesome. These guys, they work so hard on these trucks here, and we're not nearly funded what the rest of these guys are. And Billy does a great job keeping this thing going, and Kyle does a great job of driving. And I want to thank Mikasuki again and James Finch for helping us so much with this deal. And it's awesome, and Graceway Pharmaceutical.
All right, go get him. We'll see how much gas he's got for a burnout. Richie Waters gets career win number 13 as a crew chief.
Kyle Busch bowing to the crowd here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Another impressive performance. Let's go back trackside to Adam Alexander.
Kevin Harvick climbed from the race truck, went over, talked to his teammate. It was obvious by the conversations on the radio there was a lot of frustration. Take us through the closing laps and your thought process with you and Hornaday.
Well, there was no thought process, obviously. If you're going to have teamwork, you got to have a two-way street. So it's something that we'll address once we get to the shop. I feel like we had the best 2 trucks. Their Dupa Color Chevrolet was good. And just poor communication between Rick Corelli and Hornaday and Rick Wren. And, I felt like we gave it away.
Kevin Harvick able to smile as he walks away, but it was a bit sarcastic. And now Ron Hornaday walks away. I think he's going to try to catch up with Kevin. They will continue to have a conversation here, and then we'll see if we can get Ron's side of the story. Ron, obviously there's some difficult times late in the race between teammates. Harvick feeling like there was some miscommunication. What were you hearing on your side as you went through the closing laps?
Well, he got up to me 3 or 4 times. I backed off. He ran underneath me. I thought he was actually, I don't know if he was getting loose or whatever underneath me, but no, I had older tires. I knew he had fresher tires, so I'll take second. That's all I can do.
He's a competitive guy, and we know that's why he likes you, because you're a competitive guy. But there at the end of the race, how hard is it when you're running for a championship to think about letting anyone go by?
I didn't even think about it. Kevin was back there and raced me as hard as I can, and I don't know, once in a while I got away from him. I don't know if he slipped up or whatever. I'll just tighten the center down in 3 and 4, but 1 and 2 we're I should say 1 and 2, 3 and 4. I was really good. So that's a good run for the Copart Chevrolet, and we'll take that. I mean, I'm going to talk to him right now. I don't know what I've done wrong, so I got to find out.
Second and third for KHI, but no doubt about it, they're not satisfied.
Well, the communication continues here. Kevin Harvick and Ron Hornaday. Again, we heard on the radio, Kevin Harvick said, have him move out of the way so I can catch the 51. Well, apparently that message was never conveyed to Ron Hornaday because Hornaday didn't mention anything about that when we just talked to him.
And that's what Kevin said. There was obviously a communication problem between the spotter, Rick Corelli, Rick Wren, the crew chief, and Ron. Now, whether that message was delivered, we can't say. We don't know if that message was delivered to Ron Hornaday.
And you know what? I want to be in Ron Hornaday's position. I want to say, boss, I'm racing. You know, I'm going for a championship. I thought if you could have passed me, you would have passed me. And at the end of the day, I want to be the same way with. I want to be Kevin Harvick too, and have that guy on my team, huh? Have Ron Hornaday be my driver.
I mean, you could tell. Kevin Harvick was the first one on pit road. He's the first one unbuckled, and he gets right back to the truck, leans in, and says to Ron, we don't know, but one of those things like, what were you thinking? I had a faster truck. Well, let's go to Ray Dunlap with the guy who actually had the fastest truck today and is in victory lane.
Well, it's win number 5 of 2009 for Rowdy and the 51 team. Suds and beers and hell of a good cheese down here for sure. Kyle, did you know you were going to be as close on fuel before we got that last caution?
Yeah, they told me we were going to be about 5 short, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. We just stopped and filled this thing, so it barely made it. It ran out coming into victory lane there. So, man, what an awesome Tundra this was today. You know, it was able to keep up with the Chevrolets at least. So, real proud of Richie and all these guys. They worked so hard on this Miccosukee Tundra to get it here, and thank Graceway Pharmaceuticals, and thank the fans, thank NOS Energy Drink, everybody that makes this program possible for us. And it's cool, you know, you come to Loudon and you got 5 race divisions or whatever it is in a weekend. They still got another one here left to go tonight.
And we've just put your name on a list once again as a driver who's won in all 3 of NASCAR's divisions at this racetrack.
That's cool, man. That's something special. You know, we look to do that everywhere we go. But we've been fortunate enough to have good race trucks like we've had this year. And I tell you, I don't know what's wrong with the right front tire, but it was vibrating and shaking the last 60 laps. So we barely made it there, and I was waiting to get run over there on that last restart, but I'm glad I was out front being the one that was being chased instead of being the guy that had to chase the others. So it was fun, man.
A shaky front tire, not enough fuel, but he still rolled it into victory lane, and the celebration begins with he and Richie Waters and the crew, guys.
You know, Kevin Harvick said it on the radio. We're going to have to win this race on pit road. Kyle Busch won this race on pit road. He did the best job. He and Richie Waters, they got out in front of Hornaday and Harvick, and they kept the lead the rest of the way.
And Richie Waters made a call, and he sat there and sweated it the whole time. You know, he said, we're only going to put that much gas in it. Oh, no, we're not going to make it. Is that crazy? And that's how they won the race.
This is the unofficial point standings after tonight's race. Hornaday, Matt Crafton, 217 points separate those two. Skinner drops back 246 points. Brian Scott and Colin Brown rounding out our top 5. We'll hear from Matt. Coming up next, it's the Rolex Sports Car Series from Salt Lake City. You want to make sure to stay tuned for that.
That's a fun track. I like watching those cars run on that track.
Now let's take a look at today's Stay in the Game with Just for Men hair color moment. And I think we've got to talk about the 33 and the 2.
Well, they stayed in the game all the way to the very end, side by side, nose to tail, owner, driver, teammate.
Harvick just couldn't get by him.
We thought he was playing a little bit of a game, and he wasn't. He was trying to get around his teammate, couldn't quite make the pass.
He was serious. He wanted to get by that 33 and was frustrated that he couldn't and that Hornaday wouldn't let him by. Well, that's our Stay in the Game with Just for Men hair color moment. Now, as we mentioned, we wanted to hear from Matt Crafton. He is with Adam Alexander.
Matt Crafton, a huge topic of conversation before this race. I'm sure you were happy when the green flag went in the air and you could race, and another top 5 for your race team.
Yeah, it was definitely nice to be able to put your helmet on and put all that behind us. And I mean, all in all, I mean, we got the fender tore up on lap, I don't remember what it was, 15, 20, and made for a long day. I mean, these fenders are everything on these things. So I can't thank these guys enough. Menards, Sylvania, everybody on this team to not give up. And I mean, it's fourth. I mean, we lost some points to Ron, but from what I understand, something wasn't real happy over there. But it's I don't know, a good day. I mean, we salvaged a top 5 out of it and had a tore up left front fender. I mean, it really pushed that left front fender in a lot. And they had to pull it out because it was back on the tires. So all in all, salvaged and not a bad day.
Crafton will be second in the points when the trucks head to Las Vegas.
What a crazy day. One thing I really liked, Rick, listening to Kyle Busch in Victory Lane, he's truly appreciative of what he's accomplishing. You know, for so long it looked like he just won and took it for granted, but you heard him. He's won now in all 3 divisions here of NASCAR at Loudon, and I know it's starting to really sink in that he's on to something that's very special for that young man, and I love seeing it.
That's 6 different racetracks that he's done that. Incredible.
Bristol, California, Chicagoland, the last time he was in the race, Dover and Phoenix. Now he adds New Hampshire to that. What an amazing accomplishment by that young man. Our next race, Las Vegas 350. That's Saturday, 9 o'clock with Chris DeVoe in the setup.
And we will still have Ron Hornaday, Matt Crafton, Tom Bodine, all those guys will be out there.
What an amazing race. It started off, we thought it was going to be a boxing match between 2 competitors. It ended up being a runaway. The 51, Kyle Busch to victory lane again.
It's Vegas, baby. The trucks are off to Sin City next week. Too bad what happens here doesn't always stay here. See who will come up with lucky 7s and who will bust. It all starts with the setup at 9:30, live on Speed. Be there.